Okay, we're live now.
Awesome.
Don't know where
Working on.
Kaze is. I assume that he'll get the Twitch notification that we're live and join any second now.
Yeah, he's listed online. I'm open up map tool.
I went ahead and sent him a Discord ping just to be safe.
I have 2 cats in my room, so I'll be here for a while.
Oh yeah, just so everyone watching knows, Hannah's having a lot of internet trouble right now.
Yep.
And
thunderstorms.
And I've also got a cold, so I'm going to be muting my mic a lot tonight.
Alrighty. Yeah, I've had a bit of a long day, so if we're still having internet issues and folks not feeling well, I'm not opposed to not running this one quite as late, but we'll see how that goes once we get there. All right, I'm in. You guys are in, so once Kaze's here, we should be good to go ahead. If somebody wants to go ahead and start doing a session recap while we're waiting, that's fine.
Let's see. Last time, we snuck through a building for like 2 hours.
I mean, that's
True
not
facts.
incorrect.
We got the MacGuffin.
So, yeah, last time around we we went into the camp from the Legion that's been causing all the issues. Found out that their leader is basically just not seeing anybody. Met an elf who is a bit of a butt and broke in, grabbed the item that he had found when all of this stuff started happening. Got out, and you have reported back to the general and are about to go and see what you can do about this thing. It was the dwarf tribes just across the river that led him to where this artifact. It was found across the river, off in the frontier, off in the borderlands. It was a dwarven merchant who word first came to the Legion commander about this item, and it was the dwarven tribe just across the river that provided him the scout that he used to actually find it. So
Shit, hold on. I just realized I have the wrong scene collection up. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Continue.
yeah, that brings us about to where we are. Excuse me. So, you guys are in.
Also, we all leveled up.
Yes, we all are now level 2, so we actually have access to magical healing now, and I am considerably less worried about just accidentally murdering half the party. So, yeah.
And the drow can speak Dwarven now because you took linguistics.
I think a significant fraction of the party can now speak Dwarven.
Yeah, I took it.
It's kind of relevant given.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just, oh hey, here's a book that's written in Dwarven. Want to take just a second and learn a new language?
I think the implication with this is that you possibly already knew like some small smatterings of Dwarven, and over the course of your last level have been, picking up bits and pieces here. Maybe learning from other party members who do speak Dwarven because you have one of those. But yeah, that's one of the.
See, that's the weird thing about Pathfinder's rules.
Yeah.
You could have one session where we say, hey, we're new to this land. Do we understand any of what the dwarves are speaking? Can we do like a linguistics check to interpret what they're saying? And the GM would be like, no, you don't understand a lick of it. Then the next time you level, I know the whole language.
Yep.
Could be the same day even.
Yeah, it applies to most things really. Like the whole fluff of wizards, studying for years to learn their spells, and then you multi-class
Yep, like
and
that.
the wizard magic 2 first level spells.
All I can say is, like, with us learning Dwarven overnight, Rosetta Stone really works.
I just realized I have a job. I could afford Rosetta Stone. Does it work?
I don't know. Actually, I've never.
No.
I was just making a joke.
I mean, I've never used Rosetta Stone, but I've heard good things.
I don't have a head for languages, so.
Any word from Kaze yet?
Anyway.
Not a single reply. It says he's online, but it says he's online a lot. He might
Okay.
be asleep. He might be out.
All right, then. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll get started, and he should wander in at some point. So, you guys are in the town of Caesium. Caius is still conveniently out of the party until such time as his player may or may not come back. You guys did get a little bit of money from this, from your adventure thus far, and I'm sure that if there are particular supplies that you really feel like you need, that you might be able to pull some strings and get your hands on them. So is there anything that you all want to try to find, acquire, purchase before we head out? We don't have to RP it, just...
I've got just about everything I need. Plus a bunch
let
of
me-
stuff I don't need.
Let me pull up something.
Oh, how much do potions of Cure Light Wounds cost?
50 gold apiece.
Ah, never mind.
If I had actually gone through with getting 2 weapon fighting when I leveled, I would have bought something today, but there was something else more important to get.
Okay.
I'm
Now
waiting
that-
for the PFSRD to load.
Now that I think about it, I should probably get myself a decent melee weapon. Apparently Mesmerisks can wield something called sword canes.
Yes, the sword cane is basically exactly what it sounds like. It is a cane, and there's like a little connection lever, and the head of the cane is actually a handle for a sword, and the rest of the body of the cane itself is basically the sheath. Mechanics-wise, they're not the best weapons. It's if I can't recall the numbers right off, I think it's slightly worse than a regular short sword. But the big advantage of a sword cane is that from the outside, unless you make a fairly high perception check, I think it's a DC 20, it looks just like a normal cane. So someone going around and, say, disarming you before you go into this secure area, no, it's just my walking stick. Like, you're not going to take my walking stick away, are you?
So, between that and the sap, what would you recommend for my character?
Probably the sword cane. The sap is a fully non-lethal weapon. It is, as I recall, completely incapable of dealing lethal damage. Its big advantage is normally if you attempt to do non-lethal damage with a lethal weapon, you take a penalty on your attack rolls. If you've got something like a sap, you just do full damage because it's purely non-lethal.
Okay, I need to go look up the stats for the sword cane then, and also figure out how much it costs.
Yep. I believe damage is 1d6, and crit is times 2, but double check me on that, and I can't recall the price. But, alright, as we are, as Domitia's going off and purchasing a nice fancy new sword cane, you guys are, as I understand, heading across the river, try to see if you can find out from the dwarves where this artifact might have come from.
Yeah, I can't afford it.
How much do you need?
10 more gold.
I mean, seeing as how Lise owes you for the disguise kit, he'll just give you the 10 gold.
Oh, okay. Then I have 0 gold and a sword cane. Okay, continue.
He does owe you.
Okay, thank you, Lise.
He has some amount of honor.
So again, is that correct? Is that the plan?
I was trying to get the
Yes.
PFSRD to load, but it's not loading for me to look up stuff.
No. Like, we can go ahead and start saying removing, and if you do like double check and like look and I wanted to buy this thing, that's fine. Like, we can say that you bought it back in town, as long as it's not like, oh, we're like 2 combats in and you want to go back to it. So.
Yeah, I keep getting like a 404 error with the PFSRD site.
It's weird.
You can try Archives of Nethys.
I might have to.
Alrighty. So, you guys, after a brief stay at the town of Caesium, turn around, head back out. Again, it's roughly a day's travel between Caesium and the fort. Again, you aren't bothered on the roads this time. It's going to take a while for the kobolds to get brave enough, and just other bandit groups just haven't quite moved in yet. You notice the you arrive at the village. You notice there's this bit of a frenzy of activity going on. Excuse me. And there aren't as many soldiers like out patrolling. There weren't a whole lot, patrolling outward beforehand. But even the soldiers' presence out in the in the village, like soldiers off duty at the local taverns, whatever, that seems to be very, very much reduced. And the fort itself almost looks to be gearing up for like combat footing type thing.
This is a question. Who has the scary rock right now?
Alexander had it last.
All right.
Ada can hold on to it for now, because since Kaze's not here.
Because Lise is staying away from it because he is not happy with it right now.
Well, that aside, we should probably pull one of the guards over, whoever's closest, and ask them what's going on.
All right. So, there aren't really, like I said, there aren't really guards out and about in the city that you can see.
Well, anyone
you can find
anyone frantic looking.
Okay. Yeah, like there are plenty of townsfolk that you can find. Do you guys, if you guys go back to the Hellhounds Lodge or that other inn that you all stayed at temporarily that I definitely remember the name of. I can't recall right off the top of my head for that one. Like there's plenty of people in there. There's probably like some city militia that's still like out on the street. And pretty quickly you find out, rumor has it that there's some kind of fight coming. The soldiers kind of were called back into the fort fairly rapidly. But rumor says that the 13th Legion is marching a hostile force against the 14th.
Like the 13th and 14th Legions of the same army?
Yes, the Imperial 13th Legion is supposedly sending a force to attack this legion stationed here.
Oh, then we probably won't want to be around when that happens.
Quite possibly not.
We should probably just, do we know how long it'll be before the other army reaches here?
Not exactly, but if you have any experience with military forces, which most of you probably have at least seen some on the march at some point in your lives, They tend to not be very quiet. They are usually fairly easily noticed and don't travel as fast as just regular adventurers on foot. You would recognize the 13th Legion is the one commanded by Lakaya, the legate who came in to meet Eulos, the one that was largely concerned about all of the trouble, and who Eulos said could go and check out and see what was happening. And was telling her officers to go get a group ready to go to march out. Given the fact that you don't see a force approaching, you probably have a while. You can probably stay the night without waking up to an army outside the gates.
No, that's probably what we'll do. We'll probably stay the night and then cross the bridge to the east as soon as we get the chance.
That sounds like sound logic, because nobody needs to be caught up in that.
I agree.
All right. So, do you guys stay at the Hellhounds Lodge again?
That's the one that's familiar with us.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey guys,
Hello.
there you are.
Hi, guys.
What'd I miss?
Long story short, 2 sections of the Empire that we've been working with are about to fight each other. So we're gonna escape to the other side of the river before we get caught up in it.
Okay, that is a good tactic.
Or at least that's what people are saying, but they don't have the information that we have. We know that there's something more to this, but people don't. As an out-of-character thing.
Okay.
I mean, in character, you'd also realize that you guys know a lot more about what's going on than just the random townsfolk around here.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying when I say out of character, I mean I'm saying this out of character, that way people don't hear Elise saying this.
Oh, fair.
Because I don't want him to be like, hey, we know something you don't, and people what? That's why I wanted to specify.
All right. So yeah, you guys are able to get a room at the inn again. Excuse me. No real problem. The innkeeper, kind of welcomes you back, good to see y'all again. Just doesn't really make too much note of the fact that you guys left and came back pretty quick. Just you had business somewhere that you needed to attend to. Whatever that happens, that's fine. And so you guys just get a room, spend the night.
That's pretty much all we need to do.
Alrighty. Go ahead and will saves all around.
Come on, don't give me another 5. Well, it didn't give me a 5 at least. Me with my abysmal will save as a rogue.
Kaze, can you roll a will save for Alexander real quick?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm trying to get it to even launch right now.
Okay.
I can roll it for him.
I can grab it.
Yeah, his will is 2. So, whatever that.
That's not what it says in your will button, but I guess that makes your...
0.
I guess your total is 21.
Okay, yeah. So everyone passes a restful night this time. Lise, for the first time in several nights, does not have a nightmare, which is good for him, I suppose. And you all awake the next morning, well rested, better rested than in Lisa's case than he has been in a while, and they're looking out the window. There doesn't appear to be a hostile army outside the gate, so that's nice.
Yeah, nice is a way to describe that.
Alone in her room, Demisha is going to
bring Crank. Sorry.
No, that's okay, I understand. Alone in her room, Demisha is going to practice swinging her sword cane. Which is an excuse for me to roll this new macro I made. There you go.
Rolls are pretty decent. or attacks with it pretty decent. Like, you're pretty sure that your imaginary opponent would have at least gotten a couple cuts in on him. So yeah, that's nice, nicely balanced. It's a nice little sword. Yeah, I believe Hannah was starting to ask if you all were bringing Cranky across with you.
I mean, he is our pack animal,
Yeah.
and like he's been very useful with the cart so that we can like do stuff while we're moving.
If we don't bring Cranky, I either have to leave most of my stuff behind or move at quarter speed. So there's that.
Or Ada has to become the pack mule.
She would prefer not that.
Then yes, we're taking
Bring the donkey.
We're taking Cranky.
Alrighty. So you all, again, you get up the next morning, and over the bridge.
Yep.
I will say that while everyone else is getting up, Lisa would have tried to go collect his rope.
Okay. Let's see.
But if it was really like patrolled and stuff, he would just leave it. He's not risking it.
Okay, yeah. So there's not a huge amount of patrols out and around. Again, most of the soldiers appear to have been recalled back to the fort. And surprisingly enough, you look over the hillside where your rope was, and it is still hanging there.
He's going to make sure that there's nobody like watching where he can, and then go collect it.
All right. You're able to grab the rope. Pretty sure nobody saw you do it, and make your way back to the inn with the others.
That was kind
Okay.
of a risky move.
Well, he did it while everyone else was still asleep, and that's why he was going. Like, he would have rolled perception checks and stuff if he needed to. But since I wasn't prompted. Because he's not dumb enough to just walk up and grab it if there's anyone nearby.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Lise was basically just taking 20 on perception, just finding a like non-obvious place, just watching for a while.
Yeah,
And,
he only
you know,
sleeps
making
4
sure that-
hours, so...
Yeah. So yeah, I was basically assuming a take 20 on that perception check. So
Yeah, he was just taking his time, getting his stuff back, and then coming back before everyone woke up.
Alrighty. So, again, next morning, you all did not have nightmares last night, and you are able to make your way through the village, which is beginning to kind of empty out a little bit. People aren't going out quite as much. Like, it's much less busy than it was the last time you were here. There seems to be just an air of nervousness around this little village on the outside of the fort. But you are not accosted as you make your way to the bridge. It is a massive stone bridge, enough for probably 6 to 8 people to walk side by side across it fairly comfortably. This was designed for legions in march to be able to cross rapidly. There are some guard posts on either side that are manned. Just general, soldiers, probably from the 14th, given that their fort's the one that's literally right here. They kind of give you a very cursory glance, very basic, just okay, like what's your business over on the frontier? You can tell them that you're there to trade. You can tell them that you're there to explore. They don't really care all that much. Give you some just general warnings about that you're out of the Legion's reach, basically. So be careful. If something bad happens, you're basically on your own, and wave you on across. I was just about to do that, so thank you. Alright, so you would realize that the more than likely the first place that the Legion commander would have gone to for help is the nearest village over here. There we go, that worked. I was trying to mark it and it wasn't coming up at first. That village is kind of the home village of a tribe that is fairly friendly to the Empire. It would almost have to be, because it probably would have gotten knocked out if they were too hostile at this point, given that they're right next to the bridge over the river. But generally, when there are small expeditions across, that's usually the first place that people go to get a guide. There aren't marked roads on this side of the river. The pathway, there are like kind of worn paths where traders go back and forth, and the path between the bridge and this village is one of the more worn down ones. So you are able to follow it relatively easily, but there are places where it does become a little bit difficult, and you do have to kind of just try to keep track of what direction you're going. So if somebody could roll me a survival check, please.
That would probably be Alexander, because I don't have it trained.
Me neither.
Okay. My survival is 7, so that should be pretty good.
I'm a rogue now.
Oh boy.
Okay, can I back him up?
You can attempt to assist, so...
I mean, an 8 isn't
so
still technically horrible.
Yeah, 8's not terrible, and crit fails don't apply on skill checks. So yeah, if you want to try to...
assist.
Yeah, so Ada successfully manages to aid. If you want to try to aid another, just make a survival check. If you get a 10 or better, you add 2 to the main person's roll.
All right, and I get to use my attribute bonus for it even when not trained, correct?
Yes.
That would be an 18.
Okay,
just
so
made
that
it
brings it up to a
myself.
12.
So yeah, excuse me. So Alexander at one point does lose the path. There's an area where it goes over some stonier ground, and it's much harder to follow. And you guys track off for a little while. Lise kind of ranges out, scouts, and manages to pick up the trail again. You don't lose more than about an hour's or so travel time. So it is probably a little bit after midday when you all reach the nearest dwarven village. As you're not really noted very much as you approach. You see dwarves kind of going about their own daily business, just common folks tending their fields, tending their houses. You see some warriors training kind of out in the open spaces in the village, and you notice that you're getting some cold glares as you approach from the dwarves that you do see. So you just keep on moving. Like, do you make any note of that in any way?
It's standard practice for Lise to get these, so he's just kind of shrugging it off.
If we're being stared at, the smart thing would be to keep walking, but Domitia is feeling an urge to befriend them.
Alright.
Lise is going to stay close to Domitia and just like have a hand on her shoulder, just looking at her like, don't. He can see that glint in her eyes.
So what is...
It is now the only person in the party that doesn't speak Dwarven, so she's just kind of nodding and just trying to make herself look
Oh, she's hoping that being able to speak Dwarven will give her an edge in befriending them.
So are you just gonna like smile and wave as you pass? Or are you gonna like go out to one of the fields and try to speak to one of them?
Yeah, I'm going to walk up to the closest one, hold out my hand, and say, "Hi, I'm Domitia" in Dwarven.
The dwarf, who's kind of an older-looking farmer, kind of gives her a sidelong glare, just like, not really sure what to say at first. very kind of gruffly, takes Demisha's hand, gives it a very brief shake. Name's Thorol. What can I do for you?
Well, there's some trouble on the other side of the river, so we kind of fled over here in order to hide from it all. Do you know if there's any safe place we can stay?
Well, if you're looking for shelter in the village, you're gonna have to take it up with the chief. He's the one that decides whether outsiders get to stay or not.
Okay, thank you.
He just kind of nods, turns around, goes back to farming his field. He's muttering something under his breath, but you can't really understand it.
Okay, Demisha goes back to her allies and tells them that we can stay as long as we get the leader's permission.
Okay, where's the leader?
Well, presumably he is in one of the conspicuously large buildings in the middle of the village.
Yeah, but he just asked her, like, okay, but where will we find the leader? Because he points at, like, the different big buildings, like, it could be any of these.
Well, it's almost always the biggest building, right?
In general, yes. In general.
I hate it when you're right. He had to yield the point to her on that one.
So, let's go to the big building then.
We should also gather some information about why we're getting these stony looks.
Hang on, my computer's doing some weird stuff. I'm trying to sort it out just a second.
Well, they're dwarves and they're not used to outsiders, so it's completely understandable.
Also, might be likely with the dealer that they speak common and so...
Alright. So you guys make your way in toward the center of the village. You don't really have to wonder too much about which building that the Dwarven chief is in. Because as you approach kind of the village square, you notice that there are some people like kind of stopping to watch. You notice there's some people kind of stopping to, like watch what happens. And out of one of the larger houses, the largest one, in fact, as you all guessed as you approached, there steps out kind of an older, very like, very muscular, somewhat scarred-looking dwarf. He's in chainmail armor. He's got an axe slung across his back. Not openly hostile, but looks like he's dressed for a fight if he needed to have one. Followed by just several dwarven warriors kind of flanking him on either side. He walks out into the village center, kind of opposite of you all, arms crossed, and calls out to you, is like, excuse me. Excuse me. Calls out to you all, so tell me, what business do you Imperials have here?
In common or Dwarven?
In common.
Do you guys want me to talk?
I mean, if you want.
Okay, well, Demisha steps forward and, in Dwarven, says, "We're not Imperials, we're actually just a band of adventurers that they hired for, like, a day."
He kind of laughs a little bit and switches over to Dwarven at this point. You all are from the Empire. It seems about the same to me. Again, I'm asking, what is your business here in my village? You haven't had the best dealings with your people of late.
Well, I suppose I should apologize on behalf of them, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the army that we'd have no idea about, and things are about to get really bad. All we know is that one of our leaders came over here, they found this rock, and when they took it back, everybody started having bad dreams and fighting one another.
He kind of like lets out a chuckle, and it's kind of bitter at this point. Like he's not amused by what you said. He's like, yes, I'm aware one of your leaders came across messing with things that he should not have been. He came looking for guides further into our territory, and my son volunteered to go with him and to lead him to something that he was seeking. Some sort of... I don't suppose you all have come to tell me where he is.
You cut out right after you said some sort of.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so again, the leader, one of your soldiers, he came across looking for some sort of temple further across the frontier, and it was my son that volunteered to go and serve as his guide. I don't suppose you come to tell me where he is, seeing as he has not returned.
Your son or the guy he was guiding?
Neither of them. But given that you said that one of your soldiers brought back an item, I assume that the officer who took him did make it back, which raises many questions as to why my son did not.
Well, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but if I had to take a guess, I'd say that said leader probably ditched your son somewhere, or worse. But we're offering to help you find him. I mean, honestly, we have no loyalty to the guy that your son was, escorting. All we want is to save the people from having nightmares and from all of the towns over there from being destroyed by their own army.
Alright, go ahead and roll diplomacy for me.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah, like, you're attempting to convince him that you all do actually have good motives. Like, that falls under diplomacy. I would also say your bonus for attempting to avoid conflict probably applies here.
That's a 30.
Okay, yeah. Making friends with all the NPCs. He kind of thinks it over, shakes his head. It's like, you do look like a idealistic sort, I suppose. Very well. I suppose there's no harm in letting you at least look. I know generally where they were going. Hang on just a second. I need to look up an NPC name. Yeah, my son Thordal was always more of the adventurous sort, which is why he was the one who volunteered to actually lead them. They were speaking of a temple to an ancient god further to the east in the realms of the Blood Axe people. I can spare some of my men. They can lead you as far as the temple entrance. I believe that at least some of them would also know where it is. If you find him, bring him back, whether he is dead or alive. If he did fall, he deserves to be buried with his ancestors.
Will do.
He turns to one of his other soldiers, kind of speaks quietly, not whispering so that you can't hear, but just low conversational tone. Basically just asking him if he would be willing to lead the outsiders, to the temple. The soldier, nods, that, responds, it'd be my honor, chief. And he turns back to you all. Very well. Excuse me. Sorry. Asvard here will be your guide. He'll take you as far as the temple, but I would ask that he not go inside. I would prefer not to lose more of my warriors to whatever is causing all of this trouble. And I will await your return one way or the other. if there's anything that you set off, I will see what I can do.
Right? You can count on us.
All right. That he spoke to, Asvard kind of walks forward, holds out a hand to Demisha, and he kind of shakes it briefly, like, nods, doesn't really say much of anything, and more or less is just waiting expectantly for you all to say that you're ready to move along.
Lisa's actually going to step up and ask if they have a map. That way he can just familiarize himself with the territory, because he likes having his bearings.
Yeah, like, what if we get separated from our guide?
Well, also because he points out that he prefers to scout ahead. That way, if there's trouble, he can let his comrades know, rather than them blindly walking into something. So a map would be useful.
The chieftain just shakes his head, like, we do not keep maps on paper as your people do. There are hills to the east, there are forests to the north, and you'll continue east 3 days travel. You'll cross the big river, and once you do so, you are in the Blood X territory. After that, Asvard will have to guide you further than that.
That's useful information. Thank you.
All right. So, new dwarven buddy in tow. You guys set off generally eastward and further into the frontier. Once it became clear that the chief was not going to have any kind of like major blow up on you guys, once Demisha kind of helped smooth things over, most of the people who were watching this exchange kind of went back about their business, and you all leave the village without really drawing all that much attention.
Enough attention, though, that anyone who asks about us is probably going to get an answer.
More than likely. Like, it's not... From the way your appearance was received, it hasn't been all that common, at least recently, for a group of people from the Empire, which is how the dwarves are going to see you. You guys were, all, came from the Empire to them. It's not all that common for them just to, a group of Imperials just to wander into the village and ask to be led further after, where a military expedition had gone.
Okay. Just for safety's sake, I should probably implant a mesmerist trick in one of my allies, just in case we run into like a fight or something. I have two now. I have Psychosomatic Surge, which you all know what that does, and I got a new one from leveling. I took False Flanker.
Okay, that's a good one. You can still only have one implanted at a time, but you can now choose which of those two that you want to implant at any given time.
Yes.
They both draw off the same pool.
Yes, I would like you guys to discuss who I should give which trick to.
Could you tell me what False Flanker does?
I can make an illusory image of myself appear opposite you and an enemy that you're next to, so that you can flank against the enemy with my image, but only into the end of that turn.
That is useful, but I would probably say Psychosomatic Surge might be more useful on Ada, since she's been like fielding the hits.
Yeah,
Because...
so it could... Whoops. I was gonna say, it could, like, go either the false flanking thing, depending on how close you guys want to get into combat. I'm sort of the only... Psych could help, so the psychosomatic, same thing. So, up to you.
Well, I'm also a melee focalist with my rapier, and I took a feat from my rogue trick called positioning attack. So that as soon as I make an attack, I can, as a free action, position myself around the target without provoking an AOO, so that I can better set up flanking maneuvers.
Alright, then let's go with the psychosomatic thing then.
And you want me to use it on Ada?
She's the one who's really going to be charging, because I'm going to wait for her to set up line of sight on the targets and then get behind them to hit them with my sneak attack.
Okay. Then that's what I do.
Alright. So,
and you can also assume that I reapply it outside of combat every chance I get.
that's fair. So yeah, I'll assume that you just have that up. I believe if you don't use it within a day, they drop off. So I'll just assume that you continue reapplying it until we hit combat, and then, once, if it's used, that you'll apply it again unless you tell me otherwise.
Yep.
Alrighty, so, without really waiting very much, you guys set off to the east. Asvar does not seem like a particularly talkative sort. He mostly just briefly gives directions and instructions. That route's more dangerous, come this way, or it's this path is steeper, it'll be easier to go around, that very basic stuff as you guys traverse eastward. He does speak in common. It's kind of not very great common, very heavily accented, but understandable enough. And you guys begin trekking eastward. Again, it's going to take a few days to get to where you're going at the very least. So I assume you guys have bedrolls or some sort of camping equipment at least. You can use the cart as some degree of makeshift shelter.
I have it.
Yeah, it has a tent.
Lise has his bedroll and stuff, and he normally just sets it up and then just sits on it since he doesn't sleep. Because the rain and stuff don't bother him.
Alright. Again, it's going to take a few days, but I'm not going to have you roll will saves for every night. I'll just have one for the most night before things actually start occurring. So the trip is relatively uneventful. There is a little bit of some degree of issue with Cranky and the cart, since you're not really traveling on roads anymore. At best, you're on kind of beaten, worn-down footpaths. At worst, you're just going cross-country. And there are a few times where the wagon gets a little bit stuck and you have to manhandle it to get it moving again. But Asvar does not seem to be particularly shy about helping out with that, and he does seem fairly strong. So I figure between him and Ada, and then the others can help if they need to. If it's really, really stuck, you guys can get it across most things. You continue east past the line of hills, past the line of forests. The forests seem older almost. They seem, especially as you get further eastward, most of the forests in the Empire you've seen have been logged for a while. It seems like some of these trees could be centuries old, at the very least. You can tell it's a very old forest, and it almost seems as if it has a degree of a mind of its own, that it's watching you as you traverse it. But Asvar does not particularly seem bothered by this, and he just keeps on trucking. So nothing particularly jumps out and attacks you either. Generally speaking, wild animals don't attack armed groups of people. After a few days of travel and camping out, you all do reach a relatively large river, not as big as the Xanten that divides the Imperial frontier from the barbarian lands that you're in currently, but still wide enough to possibly present an issue for your pony and your cart. It's not particularly fast flowing, but it is kind of wide and possibly deep enough that the cart's not really going to be able to ford it. So what do you guys do about that?
Let me look up what my levitate is limited to. Because we could always just like have someone carry the pony across and then levitate the cart, and then just like while it's being levitated, just carry it across.
That would work.
I just need to see like what my limitation is for like weight and stuff. Okay, I can. You or one willing creature or object up to 100 pounds per level, so I can lift up to 200 pounds with this for 2 minutes. So if it takes more than 2 minutes to ford it, that's not going to work.
Yeah. The river's probably 20, 30 feet wide, so it shouldn't take you 2 minutes to swim across.
Yeah, so we could just have me levitate the cart, and then just have someone like guide the pony across, and then the other person just like either pull the levitating cart, because I'll be lifting it with my mind, so they just have to pull it across. They don't actually have like weight that they gotta pull.
Okay.
How deep is the river?
You can't tell exactly, just from looking at it. It might be shallow enough that Ada especially could just walk across and keep her head above water, but you'd have to test it out to be sure.
Alright, so Ada is going to volunteer to pull the cart across, but she's going to take off her armor to cross the river.
Okay. So Ada pulls off her armor, presumably puts it on the cart, because that seems like the logical thing to do at this point.
Yeah.
I assume somebody takes a rope and ties one end to the cart, and Ada takes the other. That seems...
That was the plan, yeah. I just pull out the rope again, because since it's a silk rope, it'll resist the water a little bit better.
Okay. And the Lise is casts his levitate on the cart. It seems a little bit shaky, like it's right at the edge of his spell's weight limit, but it does lift the cart up off the ground. Ada is able to set off across the water, and at the deepest point, the river is about chin height to her, but she is able to keep her head above water and just pull the cart across and get it onto the other bank. Soaking wet, but otherwise perfectly fine.
Once she's over, I'll lower it down gently before the spell ends so it doesn't go crashing down and break.
Okay. So
and he'll
Ada,
just call over, "I'm spent." That was it.
So Ada and the cart are across. The rest of you gonna just try to swim it?
I have a really poor swim score. Let me
Ada can come back and carry.
She could technically, because Lise will actually go underwater because he's 4'10".
Yeah.
I suppose I could try swimming across.
Okay.
How's that work?
If you roll a swim check, the DC is based on the water conditions. Since the river is fairly slow moving, it should be pretty low. If you fail the DC, it varies based on how much you failed. It'll vary between either just not making any progress or actively beginning to flounder and drown. Probably a DC of 8 or 10 in this case, and I believe it is if you fail by 5 or more, you begin drowning. If you have a natural swim speed, then you don't have to make swim checks unless you're in particularly rough or difficult waters, but I don't believe any of you actually have swim speeds, so.
Alright, I'm just gonna roll. I got 2.
Alright. So Demetia swims out into the middle of the river, gets about into the middle, and she starts going under. So, holding your breath, you can hold your breath for a number of rounds, if I'm not mistaken, equal to your Constitution score. and after that you begin drowning, but you'll be fine for that amount of time. So again, Demisha tried to swim across, she's gone underwater. What do the rest of you do?
She's closer to us than Ada, I'm assuming.
Probably a little bit, but I'll say it was in kind of the deeper part of the river where this happened. Because even, like, you're able to, like, walk across a decent bit of it before it gets deep enough that you have to swim it.
For rescuing a floundering person, is that a swim check and a strength check, or...?
It depends. It would be a swim check if you are unable to, like, touch the bottom. For Ada, probably would be just strength, since she can just walk across it.
Ada's probably the best choice then, because she's got the best strength of all of us.
Okay.
Do it.
Alright. So Ada takes off into the river. Ada, roll me a perception, and Demisha, roll me another swim check.
Real quick. Glitched Phantom just followed. Thanks, Glitched Phantom.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, so... That's
Perception 23.
a 7.
Okay. Demisha's not able to get her head back above water, but she is not just completely pulled under either. She's able to, like, at least make some splashes. Ada is pretty easily able to zero in on that, and is able to get to where Demisha is. Make me a strength check for Ada.
14.
All right. So Ada, as you're kind of like, you're making your way across, or Demisha rather, you're making your way across the river. You feel yourself kind of going under. You're trying to get your head back up above water again, but the current's keeping you from getting a good footing. And all of a sudden, you just feel this hand kind of grab you by the collar of your clothing and lift you up out of the water.
Okay, so apparently I can't swim.
I noticed.
At least he's just going to shake his head and he's going to just call out, "I'll wait till you get her across before I attempt. I'm not a great swimmer either."
Dogs make it look so easy.
I can carry you both. Not at the same time, but I can carry you both.
Just get her across, and once you're safely across, I'll make an attempt.
Alright, so yeah, it is able to help Demisha over to the point where Demisha can just get her feet under her, and you can both just walk back up out of the river.
Thank you, Ada.
You're welcome, dear.
And once she's safe, Lisa's gonna go for it.
Alright, go ahead and roll.
21.
Alright, Lise also makes it look easy, and just takes off, swims across, when he can't get his feet anymore, just swims easily across, makes it up to the other side.
That's not fair. His bonus is only a few points higher than mine.
But it's 3 because you've got a -1.
Alright, Alexander, are you going to try to swim it, or are you going to wait for Ada to come get you and piggyback you across?
I'll try to swim. How far across is it?
About 20-30 feet.
Do you think I could easily chuck the pack that has all of my gunpowder across it safely?
That probably would have been on the cart that I levitated across.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
probably
we can
would've
say
just
that
put
was
my
on the
gun
cart.
in all of it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because... Okay, then yeah, I'm just gonna try to swim. That would be an 8. Fuck.
Okay, you...
I got you. I got you.
Yeah, it's not low enough that you start drowning like Demisha did, but you are kind of like losing your forward momentum as you get out into the middle. This time it's easier. Like you're basically Alexander's basically expending all of his effort to like keep in one place, and Ada's able to wade out and just again grab and pull him to where he can stand himself. And you guys are across. And let me go ahead and roll for Asvard real quick.
Asvar is probably laughing his head off at us if he was not taciturn.
Yeah, he just kind of goes in, paddles across, comes back out. seems completely unfazed.
Also, I would like to say that during the brief time where Domitia was the only one on the opposite side of the river, when no one was looking, she got on all fours and shook.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna roll perception. I'm just gonna let that be. Because like Lise was swimming across, he probably would have had a perception check, but I'm not even.
Yeah.
No, Ada is focused on watching people not drown.
Yeah. So, you continue on. Your dwarven guide is just as taciturn as ever, although he does warn you. The Blood Axe tribe is rather violent. They don't take well to outsiders. His tribe and theirs have been feuding for a while, and while that's currently on, a bit of a truce, that it could, start up at any moment, and especially the fact like they don't take kindly to Imperials, especially. So, just tells you to watch yourselves and keep an eye out. But as you travel on further, again, it's another probably about a day's travel past the river. You eventually find what looks an old road. It's not as well cut and as well paved as Imperial roads, but it does look like it's more than just a track through the ground like you've seen before. It does look like someone at least made an effort to clear it and level it at some point. As you approach, there is... hang on just a second. You're kind of on a slope. It's either like kind of a natural plateau on the slope of a hillside, or something that's been leveled off. There's a bit of a cliff face to the left, and up that rises up above you, and a slope down, occasionally breaking into a cliff off to the right. Your guide stops, motions forward to a bit of a gap in the cliffside, and says the temple that you're looking for is ahead. And let me get tokens copied over and put you guys on the map. Hang on just a second.
You mean cut over, right?
Yes, because that's better.
As far as we can see, like, is it like a straight path to the temple, or is it still a ways distance?
You're pretty close to it. Like I said, I'll flip you over to a map here in just a second.
Because Lisa's gonna ask him if he wouldn't mind guarding the cart and the pack animal, because they can't take it into the temple.
He just kind of thinks over it, nods, sure, and let's see.
It seems like a reasonable enough request to make of him, since we're not having him go in the temple.
All right, and have you guys been shifted over to the map that I'm on?
Yes, but I will be right back in about 2 minutes, so...
Okay. Yeah, you can move yourselves around a little bit. That's just where your tokens landed when I moved them over. And the area that he's indicating is over here.
I was too zoomed in to see. Did you point here?
Yes, yeah. Over,
Okay.
like, this is the gap in the cliffside that he was referring to. You can't see all the way in here yet, but yeah.
Okay.
So, he kind of like, motions for you all to go on ahead. He seems a little bit wary of getting too close, but he will continue along, following along with you for right now.
Okay, sorry about that. What did I miss?
Nothing really. We're on a new map, though I think you were here for that. Yeah. All he did was point out this section over here that he wants us to go to.
Okay.
And it's basically telling us to lead the way.
Well, in that case, Lys is going to do his traditional just slide off while paying attention to his surroundings.
Okay. Demisha is going to follow close behind Ada. Wait, why are we not moving? There we go.
Because Lys's whole idea is like, well, because he's sticking to like the forest cover as opposed to like trying to hide in the rocks.
Okay.
As opposed to like being blindsided by that tree there.
Right.
So can we get perception check?
Yeah, go ahead and roll.
It's 20.
16.
28.
Okay. I could ask if Alexander wants to roll one, but the 28 is good enough to see this.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
As
roll
Lys is
higher than
moving
that
up. I'm sorry.
I can't even roll higher than that either. So
Yeah. As Lys is making his way forward, he kind of sees movement in the brush up ahead.
Since it's directly in front of him, he's going to just hand on the weapon, not actively drawing it, but the hand on the weapon is a signal to the other guys, and he's staring in that direction, as like letting Ada know something right there.
All right.
Did a 20 enough to notice it?
Yeah, Ada notices some of the movement in the brush as well.
Alright, Demisha is going to draw her crossbow, which is either loaded or she's going to load it now.
Okay. We can say that you had it, were carrying it loaded. Let's go ahead and roll initiative for everybody and get into initiative order. You can take like a drawing a weapon type action before that happens.
Question, can I roll a stealth check for stealthing along here before I roll my initiative?
Sure.
My stealth is a 28.
Okay.
I can see the initiatives for all the enemies.
Same.
It's
Well,
wolves.
yeah.
Bork.
And my initiative is an 18. I finally got a decent initiative for once.
Nice. Yeah, I should have rolled that before we brought him in the room. I forgot to do that. So, spoiler alert.
There's another thing you could have done.
Okay.
You could have edited one of their macros so that you had like a little H colon in the beginning of the macro so that it's hidden from everybody but you.
Okay.
And then just highlighted all the tokens and rolled that macro.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will keep that in mind in future. Thank you. All right, we got initiative from everybody. So let's sort. And Ada, you don't see exactly where they are, but you do see general movement, and you are up first. Well, actually, hang on. All right, so we've got 3 creatures with the same initiative roll. So in that case, you compare dexterity. And I don't know, can I just like manually shift where people are in the initiative order on Map Tool?
Yes, you can just drag them.
Awesome.
Oh, another thing you can do, you can just right-click one and go to Set Initiative, and you can put a decimal place in there with their dex bonus.
Okay.
And it will sort it by that too.
Cool. Yeah, that's usually what I do when when I usually run. I've got an Excel sheet open, and I'll do like a decimal to kind of sort them in. But this works for right now. So, Lys is in fact the first one up because of the things that have an 18 initiative. Lys has the highest dexterity.
Yeah, that 20 dex. And I know there's something around this tree, but I can't see it.
Correct. You kind of have a general sense of like that area there.
Actually, now that I think about it, it might be smart for everyone's initiative macros, not necessarily for this adventure, but for future adventures, to just have their initiative bonus include a decimal place with their dex bonus.
Yeah, that would be useful.
What Lys is going to do is, since he's in stealth mode, he knows that he's actually going to try and go around the tree, like stealth along the tree, because since he saw the movement around there, he's figuring that they're actually, if they're staring at the road, he's going to go around this way.
Okay. Let's see. As you approach, go ahead and roll me a will save.
Oh God, we know how bad I am at these.
Will save.
13.
Okay. So you're fine in that count. And let's see.
Because I don't know where they are, so I'm just like ballparking. Well,
You come out of the brush, and you are basically face to face with a wolf. It has pitch black fur. It looks gaunt and lean, and its eyes are glowing red. It has about long enough to snap its eyes to you and snarl. It doesn't appear to have realized that you're moving up through the brush toward it. Mechanically speaking, it has not taken its turn yet, so it is still counted as flat-footed, which means it doesn't get its dex bonus to AC, and more importantly for Lisa's character, if you attack it right now, you do get your sneak attack bonus.
Well, that's the obvious choice, because while he was moving, he would have pulled out his rapier stealthily, and because he can tell these things aren't friendly. They are,
Or
with
regular
how gaunt
wolves.
they look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, these aren't tamed wolves, these are wolves that want to eat us.
They're also apparently magical wolves.
Well, he doesn't know that, so he's gonna slide up, and he's gonna go ahead and take a stab at the wolf that's directly close to him, trying to do as much as he can right now.
Well,
I mean,
the will save may have just been against fear.
Well, that doesn't matter, because I rolled a 1.
To be fair, I think you could hazard a guess they're not normal wolves because their eyes are glowing.
Yeah, that's entirely true.
So I rolled a 1, so it doesn't matter that I get my sneak attack. Thank you, rolls.
All right. So Lisa takes a stab, but it does not quite land, and now the wolf gets to react. It kind of dodges backward out of the way of Lisa's thrust, kind of crouches down, growls, and leaps forward at Lisa's face. All right. All right. The attack does manage to hit, and Lise takes 7 points of damage. And as the wolf like latches its teeth on and begins to yank, it is also going to attempt to trip you.
It would figure that I would roll a 1 and then it would get max. Would that be a combat move or defense or a acrobatics check?
That would be against your CMD. So your combat maneuver defense is an 18. It got a 7. It at least does manage to stay on his feet. The wolf kind of shakes him a little bit, lets go, and Lee still has his footing.
Lise is very unpleased.
Unpleased, you say?
I mean, it just took almost half of his health in one go.
All right, Ada, you're up.
Alright. Double checking how far I can live. I thought. So I'm gonna move my 20 to where I can see these things. And I assume we'll.
Not yet.
Okay. Do I see the glowing red eye?
You do. These two are both. Yeah, these two are both currently looking at Lise.
Alright, I'm gonna yell just hey at them, and I'm also gonna detect evil.
Alright. So, the way Detect Evil works, just for the benefit of those listening, and basically any of the detect whatever spells, the first round that you use it, it basically determines, is there an aura of that type there? And then as you go in, it refines, okay, well, like, what strength of the aura is it, and where exactly is it? On the third round is where you get the exact location. By default, if just like an evil person doesn't necessarily have an evil aura, you have to have a certain number of hit dice, or be a cleric of an evil deity or like an evil outsider, basically. And you do not pick up an aura of evil from these creatures. If they are evil, it's not strong enough to generate an aura. But you do seem to have successfully attracted this one's attention. All right, so you've used your move action. Do you want to do anything else here?
Is it not a standard action for me to detect evil?
For the paladin ability, I don't think so, but I can't recall right off the top of my head.
Okay, well, assuming that it's not, I'm going to go ahead and just double move and put my...
Okay, it is a move action to do that, so that would have been your second action there.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So, that ends Ada's turn, and it is now this one's turn. And Ada was successful in getting its attention, and it's going to crouch down, and it is going to charge at her. So this is a charge attack. It takes a -2 penalty to its AC. It gets a +2 to its attack rolls until the start of its next turn. And it is able to successfully hit Ada for 3 points of damage. And also makes an extremely disappointing trip check to attempt to bring her down. So also just kind of bites on, lashes around a little bit, and that seems to be all.
They're loving those high rolls.
Yeah, high rolls for the attacks, low rolls for the trips, so, you know, there's that. Alright, Alexander.
Okay, I'm going to... I mean, based on how I've operated before, it's safe to assume I would have already had something loaded into my pistol, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to then move within range. Let me figure out exactly where I need to move to. Is this thing exposed, or is it still partially hidden, by the way?
You can see it. There's a little bit of brush concealing it, but you can see enough to get a shot off.
Okay. Oh yeah, I have more than enough room there. And I'm just gonna try to shoot it.
Alright. And that successfully hits. You catch kind of the wolf in its upper shoulder, and it yelps a little bit and turns to... It's kind of switching its gaze between you and Ada and growling right now.
I was hoping the loud noise might be, like, a little bit scary to it, but apparently it just pissed it off. Okay.
Also, Ada and Alexander, go ahead and roll me will saves as well.
9.
Okay, so the DC for this effect is 9, so Alexander just barely passes, but he does.
Whew.
And Demisha, you're up.
Okay. How much would I have to move in order to see the wolf that Lisa's fighting?
It's kind of got the center of the tree trunk in the way, so you'd probably have to be in this area down here in order to get a clear view of it.
If I move straight down and I'm right above Lisa's token, like right here, then
yeah, you should be able to see it there.
I'd be able to see the wolf just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do that, and then I shoot at the wolf that Lisa's fighting.
Okay.
23.
Alright, that definitely hits, and again, the crossbow bolt catches it, and it staggers back a little bit, and basically immediately goes to return to the attack.
I'm here to help.
I'm trying to remember how psychosomatic surge works. I mean, it's on Ada, but I'm still trying to remember how it works.
Oh, I can activate it as a free action. I don't even need to be able to see her. I have a psychic link with her.
Okay. Because I'm so used to you putting it on me that my brain's like, wait. And it's like, wait, no, it's on Ada this time. Because I didn't expect to horrifically miss with a 1.
Alright.
Way to waste my surprise round.
Another one comes out from around behind the rock and charges toward Ada. And it is going to also attempt to bite her. Unsuccessfully this time. It does not manage to actually get through Ada's armor. She catches it on her shield and is able to deflect the attack.
See, this is starting to make me think that maybe it'd be a good idea to put Psychosomatic Surge on Lise from now on. Because even though Ada is the tank, since she has such high AC, she almost never gets hit.
Yeah, I didn't expect to roll a 1 and then for it to roll a 19 on me.
And even if she gets hit, she's got crazy HP too.
And you can, like, you're standing next to Lise. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you release right now?
Yeah, I can release it. It will I'll lose it for the day.
Yeah, it will expend the use, but like if Lise does really need the healing, you could, as a standard action, go ahead and plant that on him, and then it would basically count as Ada's having been used.
Okay, well,
but, yeah.
how about this? On Ada's next turn, I'll just use. What did I put on her? Psychosomatic Surge?
Psychosomatic. It has to be when she takes damage, specifically.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
if one of the wolves hits her before your next turn, you can go ahead, burn it, and then.
Well, that's not going to happen unless the wolf I just hit goes up to fight her.
No, the other two are both going to, like this one here is going to get a turn before you do next.
Oh, right, that one. Okay. All right.
All right. Asvard, your dwarf buddy, who has been fairly silent until now, draws a pair of axes from across his back, lets out this blood-curdling yell, and runs forward. And let's see. He swings with the pair of axes. He swings with one of his axes because he had to move toward this wolf here. And the wolf is very narrowly able to sidestep the axe swing. And Lise, you are up.
They have higher than 13 AC.
Yep, which means they have at least a 14 because they have a +4 dex modifier.
Or they might have a natural armor bonus.
That too. I'm just factoring like Ada's stats. But yeah, since I'm engaged with this thing, and if I take a 5-foot step back, that's going to put Demisha in the line of sight. I'm going to first go ahead and try to stab it, and just in hopes that it's more effective this time, because there's not much else I can do at this point. That's a 19 for 8 damage.
Alright, that most definitely does hit. The wolf kind of staggers back from Demisha's crossbow bolt. It growls. It leaps at Lise again, and you are able to basically catch it right under the chin with your rapier, and it kind of like the body slams into you, but it is deceased.
I'm not actually going to take my move action because I think stealthing is a standard action as well, so I can't do anything else this turn. Because with that out of commission and me being injured, I'm not gonna like advance on the others yet.
That's fair.
But I am going to use my positioning attack to move to here.
Okay.
That way next turn I can move up and give Ada a flanking bonus.
Alright, and speaking of Ada, it is her turn.
Alright. Well, I'm just gonna directly in front of me.
All right, 24 most definitely hits. You kind of catch the wolf with an overhanded swing of your battle axe. It seems to be badly injured. From what you know of just wild animals, this thing, if it was just a normal wolf, it should have definitely run by now. If not from the first hit, from the second definitely, but it shows no signs of backing down at this point.
Good.
And it is now its turn, and it is going to continue attempting to attack Ada. And is going to continue to not actually hit her. And Alexander, your turn.
Alright, I have to ask a question.
Okay.
Normally, retrieving your, it's generally accepted that as part of reloading, you're picking up like the powder horn and all the supplies you need to as part of the action of reloading, right?
Yes.
Could the same... I have to assume then, like, if I'm just reaching into a belt pouch to grab an alchemical cartridge, that's not like a separate action from the reload, is it?
Correct, yeah. As long as you have your ammunition stowed somewhere accessible, like a belt pouch or, quiver of arrows, reloading includes also recovering the ammunition. If it's like in your pack, you're going to have to take a separate action to get it out.
Yeah, because I got confused, because I guess I didn't read things correctly. I originally bought a bandolier. Turns out to take anything off a bandolier, you have to actually use an action.
Yeah, I think the bandolier is designed for, like, having potions.
Yeah.
And it does take an action to get them out, but it's less than, like, pulling them out of a backpack.
Yeah. But, okay. So you're just going to assume it doesn't take quite that much to just pull out a chemical cartridge. I'm going to use one of those to make it a move action to reload.
Okay.
And then, do allies offer cover versus enemies on ranged attacks, or can I safely, like, shoot through their square?
Since you have precise shot, I normally won't take that into account. I believe that there are rules for creatures providing cover for other creatures. But, yeah, with precise shot, you can take the shot just fine.
Okay. Bang.
Okay.
I believe that hits, yeah.
That, in fact, does, and I assume you're shooting at this one, the closer one?
Yeah, whichever one is closest to me. So, yeah.
All right. By all rights, this wolf should be either dead or running. Like, it has taken a bullet to the side, it has taken a couple of pretty hefty axe blows, and it doesn't look too well, but it is still up, and it is still seems full of fight right now.
That's weird.
And it is Domitia's turn.
Okay, so it's a move action to reload the crossbow, right?
Correct.
And the trunk of this tree is blocking my view to both of the other wolves?
At the moment, yes, but you could 5-foot step to here. Since you're not using your move action to move your speed, you can use a 5-foot step as a free action as well.
I can?
Yes. So, again, a 5-foot step is a free action. The only restriction on that is you can't, use your move action to go 30 feet and then a 5-foot step to move 5 feet more. If you use your move action for movement, you can't 5-foot step. If you use it for anything else, you're allowed to.
Okay, so I can 5-foot step, move to reload, and fire?
Yes.
Oh, okay. 5-foot step, and can I see both of them clearly from here, or just this one?
I'd say you can see both, because you're right next to the trunk. You can look around it in your square.
Alright, crossbow bolt. 17. Only
right.
1 damage.
Toward the nearer one, I assume?
Yes.
Well, just as it is deciding which of its targets it's going to attack, Domitia's crossbow bolt kind of strikes it in the rear flank, and it makes a half-hearted snap at
Oh no,
Asvard
I hit it in
again.
the butt.
It makes a half-hearted snap at Asvard, but the crossbow bolt in the butt seems to have been the straw that broke the camel's back, as it were.
Or the camel's butt. What?
All right.
I was waiting for like cricket.
Well, the last one was going to attempt to flank around, but given that its only remaining ally is now dead, there's not as much point to that. So it's still going to move around a little bit, and it's going to continue trying to snap at Ada. And it rolls pretty crap. So yeah, Ada's very easily able just to deflect its attacks.
We're guaranteed to win at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, Asvard moves up and makes attacks with both of his hand axes, but manages to be a disappointment with both of them, with a 12 and an 8 on his attack rolls.
That's the harshest way to put that. Manages to be a disappointment.
He has brought great disappointment upon his ancestors.
Okay, I'm trying to see if there's a way I can move around to flank it without walking into its like
Hit space.
its base. Okay.
Yeah, if you hit space, that like pins that point of your movement.
But also, like Peaches said, we're pretty much guaranteed to kill it. Do we just kind of want to assume we do, maybe?
Well, because I'm moving around it, like I'm taking the wide route to get behind it without provoking an attack of opportunity to flank it.
Right.
And I'm going to take this opportunity while it's focused on Ada to take a flanking attack.
Yeah.
Do I get a sneak attack since I'm flanking and it doesn't notice me, or...?
You do. Flanking does trigger sneak attacks, so +2 on your attack roll and sneak attack damage.
That would be a 21 on the attack roll, so that's a 7, and then another just 1d6 for sneak attack.
Yep.
That would be 10 damage total.
All right, you don't quite manage to bring it down, but it seems very, very close.
And that's my entire turn.
And Ada, kill it.
I will. Plus flanking bonus makes that a 12.
And well, that is not that's not quite enough. I'm not going to go ahead and just assume that it's dead, because there is at least the outside chance it might get a little bit more damage off on you guys. It would have been dead had Ada not rolled like a 3. So, all right, Alexander.
What action is drawing a weapon?
By default, a move action. Or you can, if you use your move action for movement, you can also draw a weapon as part of that action.
Okay, and you can move through allies?
In general, yes. Although, right now, that ally space is going to provoke an AOO, but you could just as easily do here, here, and here, and get to the same place. Yeah, like that.
And then, I draw my cutlass as I do and attack. I don't think I hit, do I?
Not quite, actually. I don't believe by rules as written, since you don't have someone that you're specifically flanking with, that you get the flanking bonus. I usually rule it that if you've got allies on either side, the creature counts as being flanked because it's still dividing its attention. But either way, no, that's not quite enough. And this thing very well might get enough time to do at least a little bit of damage. Unless Domitia can kill it right now.
5-foot step, reload, fire. 15.
Alright, and that is enough, and Domitia takes the kill.
And this time it's not a butt shot.
Alright. So, you guys, there doesn't appear to be any immediate further sounds. There don't seem to be any more of these wolves, and if there were, they have decided that discretion is the better part of valor, and found other places to be.
I seriously doubt that. Considering the behavior of these wolves, I don't think any of the others would have run away or hid.
Yeah, more than likely not, based on the way these acted, but yeah. And for the combat, you each get 300 XP. Our next level up probably will just be another bulk XP drop, but still, we'll keep track of it while we're here. Asvard kind of pants a little bit, looks around, sheathes his axes, goes back over to the cart, kind of sits down next to it. Looks like he's catching his breath, like he expended a little fight, and he just kind of motions for you all, like, go on ahead, and is staying with the cart for right now.
Lys is looking not so great right now from where he got like ripped into.
I would heal you if I could, but I can't unless you get hurt. So,
yeah, it's fine. That's temporary healing, so...
Although I am going to take the trick out of...
You can... Yeah, go ahead and take the trick out of me, but Ada's going to offer Lys her healing potion.
Well, Lys looks at it and then looks at her. He's skeptical.
Why?
He's just looking at like, what's the cost?
Not dying. I mean, it's preferable to have you alive.
He's going to take it slowly and then pop it open and just like sniff it at first, because he's very suspicious. So do you want me to do a perception for smelling it?
It would be a spellcraft check to identify a potion, if you wanted to try and do that. But spellcraft is trained only. I can't remember if you took that. Okay.
That would be an 8 on my spellcraft, so...
I mean, you're not sure, but she is a paladin. They don't typically lie to you about contents of potions.
He's just gonna tip it back and just look her in the eyes while he's doing it. So
Alright.
it's 1d8?
1d8 plus 1.
Please let my rolls be decent today. 5 points. It's better than getting a 1.
Yeah, slightly above average. Alright, so you guys head on over to the kind of recessed point in the cliffside.
Yes, he's going to be careful about it as always. But he is going to offer Ada a thank you as he's going.
Oh, look, a thing. Touch.
No problem.
Alright, so the thing that Demetia is promptly moving toward and going to touch, it appears to be kind of a broken stone pedestal. Possibly for a statue, possibly for some sort of small altar. You can't really tell. There doesn't really appear to be much of in the way of temple complex. Though if you do examine the pedestal here, over in this area, if you do examine that more closely, you notice it has the same eye symbol that is on the stone carved into the base of it.
Okay, Demetia wants to try 2 things.
Okay.
First, she's going to hold the back of her hand up to the stone.
Okay. The symbols match. You hear almost this faint whispering sound in the back of your mind and this strange kind of tingling feeling running up your arm, but nothing else happens at the moment.
Did I mention that I was actually pointing the symbol at the other symbol? Kind of like an eye scanner?
Yeah, I assumed that was what you were doing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Well, then the second thing I want to try is taking the rock that we stole from the sleeping guy and putting it up to or against the symbol on the pillar.
Okay.
Lisa's gonna detect magic while she's doing that.
So you do get a magical aura. There's the aura from the stone, of course. But you don't notice any magical auras on the pillar that Demetia is examining. You do notice a type of illusion magic and abjuration mixed back here. Actually, again, you need to roll spellcraft to get the schools of magic.
Okay, let me roll my spellcraft, and I'm gonna ask you to actually point that out again because I was looking away. Okay, and my map tool's being wonky again, so let me just. It's been doing this again. 15 on the spellcraft.
Okay, yeah, you're able to identify protection or illusion and abjuration are the schools.
Yeah. While Demetia's examining stuff, he's actually gonna point out the area and just mention that it is there's some type of illusion over there, but he can't pinpoint the nature of it.
Demetia's gonna pick up a rock and throw it at the wall.
The rock does bounce off of the wall. It doesn't appear to pass through it.
Let me look up what abjuration is real quick, because I forget.
Abjuration
is
good.
Defensive magic, warding stuff.
And watching it bounce off, he's like, oh, by the way, it might be warded as well. He just adds that as an afterthought after it bounces off.
I'll go ahead and do a detect evil just.
You do not notice any evil energy around the altar.
Alright.
Well, I'm going to approach the area, and I'm just going to be very careful. I'm going to start looking around for anything out of place or out of the ordinary while my detect magic is up.
Okay, so I assume you're focusing around the areas of the magic auras?
Yeah, I'm focusing where I'm getting that pinpointed aura, just to look for anything out of place. That would be a sign.
Alright. Okay, sorry. I've got push to talk on, and when I push the button, sometimes it decides to just start typing things on the window I have active. So, you start examining the area around the magical aura. It's kind of overgrown. You have to move a little bit of brush aside to get to the rock face behind it. When you do so, you don't see anything specifically. You don't see an obvious source of the magical aura, but you do see Dwarven writing across the rock face, just above where you're getting the auras from. And you do speak Dwarven now, yes?
Yes.
So it's an older Dwarven script, but you all are able to piece it together, or you're able to call Asvard over, and he can give you some assistance with it, because this is trying to read Shakespeare's English now, basically. The inscription reads, "Sacred to they who dwell within dreams, and the one-eyed who commands them. By the essence of life, given freely, may you enter." You also notice some faint dark stains on the stone below the inscription.
Lise just stares at it and then out the stage, just great, a living sacrifice. Because he just looks back to the others and so, we might have a way in, but someone's gonna have to bleed for it.
Well, why don't we just grab one of those wolves and do it?
You could try, but did it say willing sacrifice?
It said given freely.
And he points out, he points out that says, given freely. They're dead. They're not giving much of anything. We can give it a try, though.
Okay, then let's do it.
Alright, so one of you goes back over, grabs one of the wolf corpses, drags it over, and just take some of the, what do you do exactly? Take some of the blood and rub it on it?
I'm gonna grab it by the neck, grab it by the hip, and twist it around like I'm wringing out a towel.
Okay, so
What
That's-
the fuck?
Yeah, so that's mildly disturbing to anyone watching. The blood does leak out of the corpse. It kind of stains the ground around where Lise picked up the magical aura. You notice this faint red outline of what looks like a door shape appear in the stone. It kind of like takes on this pallid red color, pulses very faintly, and then fades out.
So it looks like we're going to have to actually, one of us, I believe it's asking for blood from someone who's marked. But this isn't my specialty.
Hey, Domitia, what the fuck?
Lisa's trying to ignore her. Just
What? I mean, whenever I go hunting, that's usually how I get the blood out real fast, so I can eat the meat nice and dry.
Lisa's going to stare at her.
Why
and
do you
ask,
know how to
were you
ring
raised
out
in a barn?
Again, why do you know how to ring out a wolf? Like Katao? What?
Well, I usually do it with rabbits, but it's pretty much the same process.
Putting that
Are-
aside,
What
Lisa
are
just
you?
going to ignore it. Does he still have a little bit of blood from where he was bitten by the wolf?
Yes, you do.
He's gonna put like where it's leaking down and just drip it down.
Okay. Lise, you notice again, that same kind of red color, except this time instead of this like pale, almost sickly red, it is a very bright, very vibrant red color. From where it touches the stone on the magic, the blood appears to disappear. The color runs up, forms the shape of a door fully, and you all of a sudden see a tunnel. Basically, like it's like the rock is no longer there, and you can just see your way down a hallway ahead of you. The rest of you see the doorway, but it still appears as if it is a solid rock face.
He's just staring at it and like he looks back at the others like the way's open. He doesn't realize that it looks like a solid rock face to them.
All right, does he go inside?
He's calling the others over first.
Demisha points out that it doesn't look open to her.
He puts his hand over and tries to push it through.
Your hand goes straight through. It's like you're not touching anything at all.
It's
Alexander's gonna come up and try that as well.
So you walk up, you put your hand against it, and it is like a solid rock face. At least you just see Alexander's hand just reach where the rock would be and just stops.
Okay, then we each need to sacrifice a little bit of blood.
That's what it looks like. The blood of the chosen to appease whatever is down here.
Dark.
But while they're doing that, he's
It
gonna
just does it.
Yeah, he slides inside and is just scouting about, not leaving like the tunnel way. He's just looking down the tunnel. Holy shit.
Okay. That was just me experimenting with something more than anything. I can't remember how to make a GM only roll. I thought it was that G colon, but apparently not. Yeah, just disregard that.
H colon hidden.
Both work. G is for targeting the GM, H is for making it hidden. It has to be inside the brackets.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Alexander uses his cutlass to slightly cut open the back of his forearm.
Lisa's gonna point out that he probably just needs to prick his finger and just drop a little blood on it.
I got nothing to prick it with, though.
He holds up
That's
his
what-
rapier.
Fair point, but also, tactically, injuring my hands is a bad idea considering I shoot guns.
He's just looking at you like it's a finger.
Demisha is going to use her sharper than average human canine to bite really hard into her lip and then just spit into the bowl or whatever. Whatever
yeah,
we're putting the blood in.
Both of those work. It's basically just anywhere on the area of the rock that has the magical aura will work. So Ada was injured already. Alexander and Demetria are both able to make small injuries on themselves, and once you have some of your own blood on the wall, you also see the opening and you see the tunnel. Let's see here, just a second. Okay. Yeah, so you go inside. It is a fairly, excuse me, it's a fairly clear tunnel. Like it looks like it was natural originally and then got hollowed out and expanded by workmen, by presumably the dwarves. Hang on just a second. Yeah. There are some little side rooms cut into the main hallway, but all of them appear to be empty. This appears to have been abandoned a good while ago. Excuse me.
Question. Lighting
Yes.
conditions.
None other than what you bring and the little bit of light coming in through the doorway.
Okay, Lise does keep like 1 or 2 torches on him. He doesn't keep them all on the donkey. So he's going to take a torch off, not light it, and just hand it to Alexander. And he just looks at him like, you can't see down here. We can. Or at least I can. He says it really smug, too.
Did Lise trade out his dark vision for low light, or do you still have
He
60
has
foot dark
both.
vision? Okay.
Because originally it's 120-foot dark vision, but he sacrificed it for low light and then took half orc dark vision as a racial trait due
Okay.
to his one of his traits.
Okay.
So yeah, he can low light and dark vision it.
All right. So does Alexander light the torch then?
Yeah.
All right. So you've got 1 torchlight now. I believe everyone else does have dark vision.
For low light.
I don't.
Yeah.
I do not. I have low.
All right. Right. Both of you have low light though, correct?
Do I have low light? Let me double check. Yes, I do.
Okay. There are very few races that don't have either. Like humans and halflings might be the only ones that don't have dark vision or low light vision. Which is kind of ironic given that it's supposed to be like a relatively rare type thing, but you know, whatever. Alright, so there is like I said, reasonably long hallway, probably 50 feet or so. Excuse me. Some side rooms, they appear to have been abandoned for a very long time. And at the end of the hall is a large wooden door. It appears that it has been closed. There is evidence that there used to be a lock on the door, but it was apparently broken at some point. There is now a wooden, basically a big stick, just propped against the door, jamming it shut from the inside. Or jamming it shut from being opened from the inside, rather. The board is on your side, and you could fairly easily remove it.
Well, Lisa's just, while they're inspecting other things, Lisa's just gonna like take a look around, just peek in the other rooms, make sure there's nothing of value.
Yeah, the other rooms have been picked completely clean.
He just like grumbles something about people getting there before he did and not saving anything. Don't they know how to share? And then he goes back. Which is ironic given that he's not very good on the sharing thing.
Alrighty, so, you, like I said, you can pretty easily get the door open if you choose.
Am I hearing things?
I'm
Here's
getting
something
some
in the
background
background.
noise.
I'm hearing a lot of yelling.
Yeah, I'm getting some background noise too, sounds like that.
And it stopped, because I've been muted except for when I'm talking, so it's not on my side.
I might have been on
Not
my
me
side,
either.
but I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, it might have been like one of your neighbors shouting really loud then.
Maybe. Which is weird, because these walls are normally, like, super thick.
Well, with the fact that the door is, like, jammed shut, Lisa's just gonna, like, inspect it really quick to make sure there's not any devices that will trigger when it's lifted and it's pushed open or pulled open.
Okay, you can pretty easily tell, like, this is literally just a board braced against the door and against the floor. Like, it's fairly easy to check it for traps, and you don't see any.
Yeah, he was looking for like a pressure plate or something that it would be lifted off or something that would trigger something.
This honestly looks like something that was fairly hastily put in place, just to block the door because they didn't have anything else better at the time.
He's gonna turn to Ada and just step back away from the door and just look at her like, I don't know what's in there, but with the way it's blockaded, it looks like they don't want something. It looks like whoever was here first didn't want something getting out.
Shall I open it?
Well, all signs point to this being where we need to start looking for our answers, and I don't think there's any way but forward.
Alright. Ada's gonna try and force the door open.
Okay. Well,
She's gonna try again.
you don't really need to try to force it. Like, you take the board up and you can just, it's heavy, but you can just pull it open.
Okay.
And yeah, and you find yourself in a beginning of an open room, and let me move your tokens over and get that map opened up for you. Just a second. Alright, so you should have gotten shifted over. You can rearrange your tokens as you see fit, but you open the door and you find a room opened up. This map was giving me some issues right before it started. I was going to try to set up like fog of war vision blocking stuff, but I just didn't have time to do that. So I was having an issue finding a map that would work for this, and then getting it in something resembling a proper size and time. So apologies for the fact that this is a little bit wonky, but we'll make it work. You come inside, you open the door, and you see a dead soldier, a dead Imperial soldier, just sprawled out right in front of the door.
Charming. They really rolled out the welcoming committee for us.
That is the least red carpet I've ever seen.
He's just gonna turn to stare at her for a second. It could be more red if it was more bloody, but I'd prefer not to make it so.
Well, anyway, are we gonna, like, search him? See if he's got some kind of ID? Or... I don't know, maybe an emblem of some kind? It says where he's from. He looks like... Assuming the token is anything to go by, the same kind of soldier that was back in... You know,
Yeah.
the other town?
He's wearing standard Imperial military gear. If you want to try to search him, you could see if you can find he'll probably have an emblem on him to identify which legion he's from. So you guys want to search him for that?
Yeah, Lisa's gonna just slide up and just go about it, like, checking him over carefully, while the others can, like, pay attention to the surroundings. He's doing a full body search.
Okay.
Not only for identification, but also checking hands for markings, and for money. He's checking the person for money.
Okay, Aptul was doing something weird there for a second. So yeah, he's carrying a pouch. It's got like 6 silver pieces in it. You know, I'll leave it up to you whether that's worth keeping or not. And he does have a small emblem kind of clasping his cloak. It is the image. It's got a kind of roughly stamped out bear and XIV on it. So this is a soldier of the 14th Legion. Most likely came here with the legate who got the artifact and caused all the problems.
Well, we know where his soldiers went. They did say none came back alive. Be on your toes. He's actually going to
Alright,
collect.
so
Go ahead, Ada.
okay. Ada's gonna venture in a little bit farther and just sort of take the lead on this one. And I think I'm gonna go see what's down.
Right. Demisha is going to reply with, people normally aren't always on their toes?
Lise just stares at her, sighs, and takes the clasp and tries to see if there's any other way to identify who this person was. If he had any type of identification of his name or rank besides the clasp. That way they can return it to his family.
Well, for as far as rank, you do have he looks like a standard line soldier. Like most officers would have a crest or something on their helmet. He doesn't. He just seems like a regular foot soldier. Going through his pack, you are able to find a letter that does have a name on it. So you can presumably this was a letter either that he was meaning to send or that he had received. So either the to or the from ought to be the name.
Well, Lisa's gonna just collect up the belongings and grudgingly say, might as well try to return this to his family as a last will and testament. I'm not completely heartless. And he says that aloud as if justifying that he's doing this without wanting monetary profit, which seems beyond his ken.
Last will?
Ada smile.
Yes, his family deserves to know at least what happened to him and have this returned.
So Ada moves up again toward the door frame here. Looks through. You see this little hallway with another door frame to the other side, and let's see. Yeah, there we go. That's what you see. I'm having some issues with the visible to players thing. All right. No, back to there. Okay, so you come through. You should have.
Really don't like.
You should have.
That.
Yeah, you should have two dwarves or two soldiers and a dwarf. So again, two soldiers that look to be, fairly recently deceased, and a dwarf who looks to be very much not recently deceased. He seems to have been here for a very, very long time. It looks like this temple really, other than the recent incursion, hasn't really been touched in a very, very long time. It seems like he was probably there since before that, and just looks very much dead and slumped over.
So, if the dude that we stole the stone from, whose name I keep forgetting,
Alias, yes.
Alias?
Yeah.
Okay, so if Alias was here, then he probably saw this corpse, right?
Probably.
Which means there's a higher than likely chance that it's not going to turn into a zombie and attack us, since it would have been destroyed had it attacked the other guy.
Well, Lisa's gonna just he's sidling up behind Ada, and for the purpose of this, since these are unknown ruins, he's just gonna keep detect magic up to just see if he can pick up anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. Excuse me. So you find, at least just has detect magic going then. Do you guys go into the hallway, or are you just kind of standing there at the door frame for right now?
I'm just watching, I'm scouting out with my eyes just to see what I can see, since Ada's kind of blocking.
Yeah, as of right now, there's nothing really magical that you can see directly.
I'm gonna ask Lise to just take a glance around for treasure.
and he's of course going to oblige and just like he's gonna scoot up like next to her and just like start peering in and start looking around, proceeding very slowly, like checking one patch at a time.
All right, go ahead and roll me perception.
Okay, and for the purpose of, because I have a bonus when I'm searching for traps, let me find that.
I'm gonna be right back in a second.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have a dim thing, so that would be a 17 because I get a +1 when trap finding.
All right. There's no door on the door frames here or here to actually have traps on them, but you don't see anything like in the doorway. You don't seem to see anything trap-like on the bodies. The rooms. Do you check in the rooms to either side as well?
Yeah, he's just sliding up. He's like peering through the doorway very slowly.
Hey, real quick.
Yes.
Since Gaze had to get up for a second, I need to get up for a second too. So can we just pause here for like a couple minutes?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, be right back.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna grab a drink too.
Yeah, I think I probably will as well.
I'm back.
Okay.
Is Gaze back?
I haven't heard from him yet, so I'm assuming not.
Huh. Weird, he left first.
Hope everything's okay. even know that he had left.
Yeah, he asked if like he could step away for. He said he was going to step away for a minute, and that's why we paused. So
Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear him because it gave me time to get up and grab something to eat. So
yeah, same.
I'm back.
Okay.
What'd I miss?
Nothing because we took a break because a couple people needed to get up and grab things. So.
Okay.
All right, so Lise steps in the room, looks around. Again, there doesn't appear to be anything trap-like on either the two door frames, either there or there that you just came through. Looking into these rooms, they both appear to be bedrooms of some description. There's like a couple of short dwarven-sized beds set up in each one, and one of the beds in each room has a dead dwarf who looks like they've been there for about as long as this fella here, just kind of laying there. But you don't see anything necessarily of note on the others. The other soldiers also appear to be from the 14th Legion, and basically the same thing as the other one. They are carrying small amounts of just like a few handful of silver and copper coins on their person each, and one of them has some letters. The other doesn't really have anything that would tell you his name.
well, Lisa's just gonna collect like their pins and stuff and what he can without like disturbing them too much. That way he can just at least give the family some type of peace of mind later.
Okay.
And then he's going to report back that he didn't see anything except for like the corpses and the two dead dwarves in the different rooms. He didn't really get a good look on the other side of the rooms. Like he peeked in, but he didn't like do a full scan of like walking in and looking at everything. And he's just going to point out that he doesn't really see anything directly in the chamber ahead either.
Alright. And let's see, Demetia took the stone to test it out on the altar outside. Is she still carrying it?
No, after they got past the illusory wall, she would have handed it back to whoever originally had it.
Okay. Which I think at the end of last session, Alexander had it. Hannah had said Ada would take it since Alexander wasn't there right when we started off, but either of them can be carrying, because I don't think Lise particularly wants anything to do with it either.
Lise is very unhappy with it. He's blaming it for it interrupting his reverie 3 nights in a row.
So, does Alexander or Ada have it right now?
Alexander would have kept it on him.
Okay. So, Alexander, you notice as you've been walking back this way and as you go further into the building, it sounds like there's like a whispering noise like in the back of your head that's getting gradually louder.
It's not something I'm hearing with my ears, I can tell that.
Yeah.
He's gonna kind of bring that up to the others.
Lisa's just gonna look at him like, okay, so you're crazy. What else is new?
Yeah, considering what we're dealing with, I'm fairly sure this isn't me being crazy.
I don't hear anything.
Unless you take the stone, you do not hear anything, no.
Then I say I don't hear it.
Oh, okay, I thought that was a question.
When I held it previously, I just felt like I was being watched. I didn't hear anything in my head.
You did not know.
And he's just looking like, I've held that before, and I just felt like someone was watching me. I didn't hear anything.
Well, guess I'll just need to sort of watch where this goes.
Alright, so the rest of you follow along with Ada then?
Yeah.
Since she's currently in the lead? Alright. So.
least he's just doing his thing, like sticking behind her, and whenever she just like calls, he'll just slide up and do his scanning thing.
Okay. So again, another dead dwarf. This one kind of just sprawled out on the floor. There are some side rooms with some raised pedestals, like raised platforms, basically, like here and here, over in these areas. Decorated with old paintings, it seems like. A lot of it has flecked off and flaked off as time has gone on. But from what you can see, and from what you remember of translating that Dwarven book that you found in the legate's office, it seems like a fairly safe guess that these paintings were at one point depicting something related to that same god. Like some of the same themes seem to be in place, some of the same symbols. You see the eye painted again. You can't tell for certain given the condition that they're all in, but it seems like a pretty safe guess.
I am going to just like ease up and just inspect the pedestals for anything out of the ordinary besides like the paintings and stuff.
Nothing in particular that you can find. Again, it seems like whatever might have been here has been swept clean a long time ago. Aside from the corpses, apparently.
I do keep like glancing back at the soldiers and then the dead dwarf corpses. Something just isn't adding up in his head. Like, why soldiers would have just marched through a hall of corpses like this without at least like. It doesn't look like they stomped over him, and given like the way that the elf was acting, he's assuming the legate is kind of a dick.
Yeah,
so he's thinking that like the soldiers might have just trampled over, so he thinks there's something afoot.
Okay.
So he's on high alert.
Alright. So as you guys move into this room, you can now see up this hallway, and there's a raised pedestal here. And in the center, which unfortunately there's not an indication here, but round about here, there is a statue. And it does appear to be a statue of the dwarven god that the book spoke about, the one-eyed god. The eye that this god supposedly plucked out, right now, and then replaced with the stone that is similar to the one that you all have, it appears just to be missing that eye, and it has a suspiciously sized empty socket there. And there are a few bodies up around that area as well.
Something tells me that either these dwarves were tomb raiders trying to claim this item originally, because he's pointing out how like some from what he was able to see, did they all look like they were like from the same time and clan?
The old dwarf bodies, yes, they all. It's hard to tell, but they all appear to be in roughly the same state of decay.
Okay, because the reason he's saying that, like, it either could have been two dwarf factions with the way that there's some dead in bed and some dead in the hallways, or something could have gone horribly wrong. But the soldiers, the way they died in our space, they were definitely tomb raiders. There's something afoot that killed them all. I just don't know what.
Have we tried using perception to listen? Not for weird voices in our heads, but for real sounds?
You can try.
Is that a dig at me?
19.
25.
Things are deathly, almost eerily silent, with the exception of a faint dripping sound coming from up this way.
Up what way? I was zoomed in too far to see.
Up around where the circular room is, where the you guys just like looked around and looked up this hallway. It's up in this area.
Where you said the pedestal was?
Yes.
Is there an object on top of the pedestal?
Nothing's. Well, it's a statue. You don't see anything sitting on top of the statue.
The statue is missing a oddly shaped socket where the eye would be.
Seems to be, yes.
So, do we put it back?
Lise is going to just slowly slide up and just keep checking, like, the surrounding areas. Like, he's just doing a full scour of the area because he doesn't want Ada just walking into, like, a trap.
Okay. So yeah, Lisa's moving forward slowly, carefully. The bodies seem quite thoroughly dead. There's another soldier up on this kind of the steps. It seems that he fell, making his way down. And there is a dwarven body as well, up near the statue. It looks about the same. This one, unlike the other dwarf bodies, looks about the same age as the soldiers. It looks like it's been here for about the same amount of time. And the facial features look somewhat similar to the dwarven chief Kettle.
Well, that's his son.
Yeah, Lise just looks at it and then looks back to the others like, we've got bad news for the chieftain.
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring him back.
So, he just looks like, what should our first order of business be? Getting the corpse out of here and back to the cart? Or do you want to search through this place? Because I'm not that familiar with hidden ruins like this, but I have a feeling that once we put that eye back in, something's going to happen.
Yeah, take his body out first.
Also, now that you're closer, this surface back here is a wall. Like, it doesn't extend to another corridor farther along. And you see what appears to be a fountain. There's an eye carved into the wall and a small metal pipe that leads out, and it's dripping almost like the eye is weeping. It's dripping some sort of dark liquid, and which is being caught in a pool underneath the eye. That apparently that would be, you guess, where that dripping noise was coming from. It also has some old dwarven runes written next to it, but you have to get closer to examine them.
Well, Lisa's going to actually suggest collecting the body and getting it outside first, or at least closer to the entrance so they can get it out easier.
Okay. Do you want to take it all the way back out to the cart?
Well, if we take it back out to the cart, we have the risk of attracting wolves to the smell of the dead body.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
He's actually going to suggest, like, taking it out to the entrance corridor, just so that when we go to leave, we can just pick it up and carry it out. If everyone else is alright with the idea, because he can't lift it.
Okay.
Well, I don't think we have to worry too much. I mean, our friend, the other dwarf warrior, is out there guarding the cart.
Yes, but one against perhaps 3 or more wolves, I don't like his chances. He seemed rather winded from that small battle.
Then let's just move the corpse to the main entrance then, like around here. So
Yeah, that's what he was suggesting around here.
Okay. Also, just something that your characters would probably be at least familiar with, although I'm going to tell you in out of character terms just because it makes it easier. Fight begins, becomes suddenly very, very angry. Fight ends, appears winded. Probably a barbarian and went into rage.
Lisa's still just being really, like, he's concerned because he
that's
doesn't
fair.
want another dwarf dying and getting
That's
blamed for it.
All right. So, who actually does the moving of the body then?
It should probably be Ada, since she's the
I'll
strongest.
do it. Yeah.
So, Ada, you're pretty easily able just to drag the corpse back around, and you can leave it either on this side of the door, you can leave it on the other side of the door. That's up to you.
It's just within
I'll
easy
leave
reach.
it on this side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that seems pretty decent guess. That is Thordle's body, and you move it back with as much care as you were able to manage. Moving a probably a couple 100-pound, like 180 to 200-pound dwarf, and you, I assume, rejoin the others in this area. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So there is the statue with the empty eye socket. There is the fountain type thing, and there's the writing on the wall.
Lise is going to go. He's going to like skirt around the statue at first to go investigate the writing on the wall, but he's keeping a distance away from the pool of water that the fountain is having.
It takes a little bit of time for you all to decipher it, again, because this is an older Dwarven dialect. It's not really modern Dwarven anymore, but with a little bit of time, you're able to piece it together. It says, the eye is the key and the gateway. The water is the bridge that will carry you through. Drink, sleep, and enter the realm of dreams.
Lise just stares at it and just looks at the others and like, well, this is all you. He's taking it very literally.
I assume Lise read all of that stuff to us aloud.
Yeah, like he would have, as he was reading it, he would have read it aloud and just been like, well, it says sleep, so that's not me.
Something tells me that it's gonna make an exception for you.
I'd rather it didn't, thank you. But yes,
I mean, that seems really sketchy, right? Like, holy crap.
Because he points out the fact that it says, the eye is the key, and then we drink the water, sleep, and then we'll be in the realm of dreams. So before we actually put the eye in, he would suggest like scouting out the rest of the compound. Because once we do something with the eye, stuff's going down.
Okay, then let's keep looking.
All right. Alexander, as you kind of like, I don't know exactly how far you get, but it's like you kind of come into this area, assuming that you do, you hear the whispers begin getting louder. If you follow the others this way, away from where the statue is, they begin to kind of become quieter again.
Yeah, based on all the context, he's been able to guess that the stone wants to be in the statue. He's just waiting for the go-ahead to put it in.
Okay. So, we don't necessarily have to, like, move the tokens around. You guys are able to scout out the rest of the complex. Hold on just a second. Other than a few more dead dwarves scattered about, you don't really find anything of particular note. This appears just to be like a small little shrine type area. There's a well over here. It runs deep down, and you can hear some water trickling far below. This appears to be some sort of like ritual area. Can't really tell for what for exactly. It doesn't look like a sacrificial type altar, but it looks like something would have gone on like down in this lowered area, and that people would have been along these like kind of raised wooden platforms watching it. But again, it's hard to tell exactly what.
Well, with that out of the way, he's just gonna go back to the rest of the group and just shrug his shoulders and just, well, it seems like we only have one way forward now. Although, from what he read of the thing, does it imply that you have to drink directly from the fountain, or can you like collect the water and then drink it later?
It doesn't specify, it just says drink, but it seems that the eye is important to the process as well as the water.
Yeah, so he's going to point out that it says to drink, then sleep, so, and they have to do it here, so they're going to want to set up like some type of... He doesn't think anyone's going to come in here, but if they're going to be going to sleep, they need to be able to like be defended. So they don't want to be out under the stars or by the cart. Basically saying they're going to have to sleep in a spooky dwarven tomb.
Okay, well... Demisha's gonna go over to the statue and drink the water.
Well, he's going to point out that Alexander needs to put in the eye first.
Oh, there's no water yet?
No, there's
No.
water.
Because it says the eye and then drink the water, then sleep. The eye is the key, and the water is the gateway.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, do you put the eye into the statue?
Yes.
All right. The whispers kind of reach a crescendo as you reach up and place the eye in, and you see this flash of like, almost looks like teeth of something like rushing towards you. Almost like this vision that presents itself before your eyes for just a flash, split second, and you like draw back a little bit reflexively, but it's gone as soon as it appears, and the whispers appear to quiet now that the stone is no longer in your possession. From behind you, you hear a bit of a rustling and a moaning sound, and the dwarf corpse that is nearest to you begins stirring. So I'm going to ask everybody to roll initiative.
Got it.
I mean, we all kind of figured that's what was going on, but we couldn't say.
All right. Is that... let's see. I don't see Lise on the list. For whatever reason, it hasn't added you. Let me do that real quick.
Yeah,
It does that sometimes if two people roll initiative at the exact same time.
We did both roll an 18 for me and the dwarf.
That was supposed to be a 0.5, but whatever. It still works.
I looked at
All right.
18.8.
Yeah. Still sorts it right, so whatever. All right. And Demisha, you are up.
Okay, well... So, is this thing more of a skeleton or a zombie?
It would take a knowledge religion check to know for certain, but if you had to guess, it still has enough meat on its bones. It's probably not quite skeleton yet,
I'm not trained in knowledge religion.
Yeah.
So, but you say it's more of a zombie?
Yeah, definitely closer to zombie looking.
Alright, I'm gonna shoot it with my crossbow.
All right, go for it.
22.
All right, that does hit. The dwarf's body is still on the ground. Hasn't gotten up yet. So as soon as it starts stirring, Demisha kind of spins around, pops a crossbow bolt into it. It strikes the zombie in the chest, and you kind of hear like a kind of sound coming out from it.
Okay. Does it look like I heard it?
There's a crossbow bolt sticking out of the center of its chest. Like, it definitely went in and appears to have done some damage at least.
And since it is still on the ground, that would count as prone for a sneak attack?
Actually, I don't think prone by itself triggers sneak attack, but it is flat-footed at the very least. So,
And flanked.
one way or the other, that does.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and it's flanked. So, yeah.
So yeah, Lise is just rapier out, and he's going to take a stab at it just because he doesn't believe in undead. And it don't matter, because that's a 10 with the flanking bonus. I cannot roll sneak attacks today.
But because it is prone, it takes a -4 to its AC, so that in fact does hit. Go ahead and roll your sneak attack damage.
Just the fact that it's like, yes, that does actually hit. It's like, what? For a total of 5 damage, because Lise cannot roll for means today.
Okay. Well, you do stab at it, and you get a bit of a thrust in. It feels like you didn't quite do as much damage as you might have expected to. It seems like the tautness of the partially mummified skin kind of deflects a little bit of the rapier thrust, but you get a bit of a slice in on him at least.
And I'm not going to use my positioning attack because with the fact that they're moving and we know where the corpses are, he's not going to move himself into the doorway.
Right. All right. So the dwarf kind of stands up, staggers to its feet. Standing up is a move action that does provoke attacks of opportunity. So both Lise and Alexander can attempt to AOO the creature.
Ooh, critical threat.
All right, roll again.
Yeah, that would be a confirm because that's another critical threat.
All right, so that's just 8 base damage plus your sneak attack, which is not multiplied on the critical hit.
Yeah, it's just a d6. Not even a plus, just a d6. And then another one, so a total of 9 damage.
All right, and Alexander, did you have your sword or your pistol out?
I would have had my pistol.
Okay, so in that case, unless you want to pistol whip him, you don't get the AOO.
Can he kick him?
That would be an unarmed strike, and if you do not have the improved unarmed strike feat or something else that grants you similar to that, attempting to make an unarmed attack against an armed opponent will provoke an attack of opportunity from them.
Yeah, so I'm not going to bother.
Okay.
Can attacks of opportunity provoke attacks of opportunity?
You know, that is never a question I've had come up before. I think
unless you have the improved unarmed strike feat, you can't use as a attack of opportunity.
Yeah, I'm remembering something similar to that as well. That might be the case, in fact. Regardless, I know it would deal non-lethal damage, and in general, undead are immune to non-lethal. So.
Yeah. Okay. Then do you just want to hit him with the butt of your gun?
I don't think I can yet, technically. Because I believe being able to do that is actually a grit thing at level 3.
You can use it as an improvised weapon. It's not going to do a lot of damage or have a very high chance of hitting. But I believe that there is a particular deed that lets you do that better, basically.
Yeah, at 3rd level... Yeah, they get pistol whip at 3rd level.
Yeah. Alright. The zombie seems to spend basically its entire turn just getting up and getting stabbed by Lise. It kind of staggers a little bit when the rapier stabs into it, but it doesn't seem to be quite down again at this point. And it is Alexander's turn.
Am I able to just ranged attack something that's adjacent to me?
You can 5-foot step first.
You can 5-foot step. Ranged attacks by default, ranged attacks by default do provoke AOs.
Okay, well yeah, I guess I'll 5-foot step to here. And then shoot it.
Alright, go for it.
I think that hits.
That does,
max damage.
That does, and that takes him down. So the zombie finally gets to his feet. He kind of staggers a little bit from Lisa's sword thrust, and then there is a booming roar as Alexander's pistol shot goes straight through its head, and it collapses.
Well, that's what the pistol's supposed to do.
Gonna mark him with the gray X instead of the red one, just to keep them separate.
Oh, that is so not visible.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Yeah, but I can see it. And just, Lisa's just gonna really quickly, wipe his sword off.
Alright, Ada. Right now, the only zombie that you can see being up and not corpse-like is down.
I would like to go over here and hold this door.
Okay.
Actually, can I ask a question before that?
Sure.
A 5-foot step is considered a free action, right?
Yes.
If you don't move in the same turn.
Could
Well, go ahead.
I, after having shot it, use my move action to reload?
Yes, you can.
Oh.
5-foot step is always a free action. Just it's a free action that you're not allowed to take if you also use a move action in order to move.
Okay. Yeah, and then
that
recording.
was a 25 for knowledge relief.
Okay, yeah, this is most definitely a zombie. Very, very slow. They're not that much of a threat on their own. They don't tend to move very well. Mechanically speaking, they're only allowed to take a single move or standard action instead of one of each on a turn. They are a little bit. They have a little bit of damage reduction that slashing weapons will be most effective against them. Bludgeoning or piercing weapons are going to be a little bit iffy. But other than that, they're fairly easy to take down.
And they are evil?
Yes. Like most undead, they are animated by negative energy, and they are considered to be evil.
I believe they're neutral evil.
Yes, in fact, they are. Which, slight aside, it's a little bit odd that breaks the normal rule of mindless things just automatically basically being true neutral, but it makes sense in this case given that they are literally animated by evil forces. So, alright. You don't have anything to attack right at the moment, but would Ada like to ready an action to attack?
Yes. And
Okay.
also make a perception, I guess, to see if these guys are moving or if they're just staying where they are.
Alright, go for it. Alright.
So something.
Alright, let's see, that should be a 24. Yeah, right at first, they appear to be stationary, but then as you watch for a moment, they do start to stir. So, hang on just a second. Oh, I have another 18. Okay.
Something tells me this encounter is going to last a very long time.
So, just thinking back, like, especially now that you know that some of these guys are zombies, several of them definitely showed signs of having, like, been stabbed recently. So chances are not all of these are going to get up and start bothering you again. But you don't know exactly how many.
Did Lise, like, keep an eye on which ones were stabbed that he was passing by?
The ones in this room... Hang on. Yeah, the ones in this room seem to definitely have been. This one did. These two, a little bit harder to tell. They seem to have some wounds on them, but they looked much older.
Okay. So he can at least rule out that 4 of the corpses shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's gonna give him, like, a heads up, like, I'm pretty sure the soldiers took out 3 or 4 of them on the way in. The rest are our problem.
Alright, and it is Demisha's turn again.
Okay, well, I have an idea as to how we can deal some damage to a bunch of zombies at once without really having to do much.
Okay.
Right, I have an oil flask and flint and steel. I was thinking I would spread it across that threshold that Ada is currently standing in, light the oil on fire, and then just watch the zombies walk right into it.
Okay, definitely worth a try.
just means getting Ada out of the doorway first.
Okay, well, at least while I'm here...
You can do it in the square right in front of me.
Yep, you can move to this square and then pour it across here.
Okay, I'll do that.
A little bit of a tight fit, but...
Like, how many actions is it gonna take to spread the oil and light it on fire?
It's generally a standard action to retrieve something out of your pack, a move action if it's something like a little bit more close at hand. If your flask of oil is like in like a belt pouch, something you can get to very easily, I'd say it's the same as drawing a weapon. You can do it as you move. In order to light it, it would be a standard action, and I'll let that also count, like the spreading it on the floor as well as the lighting it.
So that's all something I can do this turn?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just gonna fire.
Awesome. So those squares right ahead of Ada are now burning, and that is Domitia's turn. And Lise.
Right, since that way is no longer applicable, Lise is just gonna step up here, just like to get a line of sight.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think, because I can't put my sword away and draw my bow in the same turn, because sheathing and drawing would
You could
be
drop your
accurate.
sword.
I could drop my sword, but then I have to pick it up to grab it again.
Yeah.
So, he's just gonna slide over here, and what he's gonna do is he's gonna actually prepare an action, so if this dwarf gets up and comes within range of him, he's going to swing immediately.
Okay. Alright, that works.
That way he gets his AO and his attack.
Well, you only get the AO if it attempts to move past you.
Yeah.
So this one here picks itself... This one here, for whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't do the little pointer thing. It picks itself up off the floor, sees Lise as the first nearby opponent, and begins running with some surprising degree of swiftness toward him. It is going to reach out and basically attempt just to slam into him, and at least you may take your attack of opportunity.
By the way, the pointer doesn't work if the last thing you clicked on wasn't the map.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I click on the map again and then it works, so.
Okay, my attack of opportunity or my ready to attack?
Yeah, ready to attack. You don't provoke an AOO in this case.
Okay, because that would be a 23 for 8 damage.
Okay, yeah, you definitely, you catch the zombie, you feel it go home, you feel the rapier, thrust into its chest. Alright, had to do a little bit of math, and it is now going to attempt to slam into you, and it is going to fail pretty hard.
I thought it could only move, or attack, not do both.
They can charge. That is
Okay.
something that it does specify in the rules.
Okay, that's why I was confused.
Yeah. They can do a charge as a single action, which normally charges full round. But that's basically the only thing that they can do that would take both. Alright, Alexander.
Okay, 5-foot step and fire.
Okay.
Oof.
Alright. You take the shot basically right as the zombie lurches forward toward Lise, and the shot whizzes right behind its head.
Damn. Alright, well, reload then, and that's it.
Alright. Alright. And Ada, your turn.
Well, my path has been blocked by fire, but that doesn't mean the zombies are going to stop, so I'll just continue to run an action to beat into the dust, whichever one comes closest first.
Alrighty.
I have a question. With my ready to attack, would that have triggered my positioning attack when it attacked me?
Yes, it can.
Okay, because I would have position attacked around it. That
Okay.
way, someone could get a flanking bonus on it. So that might have actually made Alexander's hit with the flanking bonus.
You don't flank with a ranged attack.
Okay, then.
And yeah, he's not melee threatening it, so it's not counted as being flanked right now.
Okay. I wasn't sure what the flanking rules were for that.
So does this positioning attack, does it just let you move to any other square around them?
Let me, because it says that like it lets you position around the target. It doesn't specify like 5 feet.
Okay. Yeah, double check the description because I'm just curious to see exactly what it says, and we'll keep moving on with their turns. So this one begins stumbling forward and kind of staggers through the fire. And Ada now has a burning zombie kind of swiping at her. She does attack it and does manage to clip it with her axe.
How much does improvised fire damage do?
Non-magical fire is 1d6 per round that they're in it. So that's an additional 2 fire damage on him.
Okay.
Alright. And the other one is going to move... It's going to move around to here. It can't quite get closer to anybody. And this one is going to make its charge attack against Ada. And it is not going to come anywhere close.
I had to move it back because positioning attack didn't explain it's a once per day thing. It's 30 feet without provoking AOs.
Okay.
It didn't explain that in the original thing.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll just give you like a little snippet, like brief version of it. Alright, and it is Domitia's turn again.
Okay. 5-foot step. Reload. Crossbow bolt at this one.
Alrighty, take a shot. Yeah, the fire and the smoke obscure it a little bit too much, and the bolt goes wide.
Alright.
Yep, Lise, you're up.
Yep, Lisa's just gonna go ahead and stab at it because it's right there. Ooh, critical threat. And that's a 1, so no critical. But 8
Alas,
damage.
But, yep. Alright, nice.
And after that, he's going to 5-foot step back. Just trying to, like, goad it forward.
Okay. Alright, and that seems to work. It kind of stumbles a little bit, and then it's going to move forward, and it doesn't charge this time. It just kind of staggers forward into range and looks like it's winding up to try to like attack Lise again with its just battering at him with its hands. All right, Alexander.
Okay, I guess I'll just take another shot at it.
Okay.
Again, same roll.
You were liking those 4s.
You know what though? That that 4, the 11. I forgot your pistol does actually resolve against touch AC, not their normal AC. So that attack last round actually would have hit him.
Oh.
So in that case, Lisa's attack right there would have killed it. The one right here. So that one is now down, and Lisa, if you want to
Moving back.
yeah. If you want to redo, and Alexander, if you want to take a shot at something else, you may.
Okay, I mean, there's one right up by Ada, right?
Yes, there is.
There'd be less cover blocking your view to the one Domitia just shot, I should think.
Do either of them technically have any cover?
Not really.
Yeah.
Again, precise shot, you can fire past allies.
So yeah, I will fire at that
Oh.
one, and it's within my first range increment, so it should still hit it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, yeah. That one will be a hit. The bullet will strike, and it doesn't appear to do a huge amount of damage, but it does at least clip his shoulder.
Okay, that's something.
Every time Alexander fires his rifle, I imagine that he's spinning in a circle right before he does.
Well, it's a pistol now.
Oh, it's hard to tell because your icon is still 2 crossed rifles.
I am rifles that fire a pistol. That's such a sin. Jesus
What's this with all the 4+7s?
Ada takes a swing, and unfortunately Ada does not have a firearm and does not resolve against touch AC, so her attack does miss. The smoke got in her eye right there at the last second. So let's see, this dwarf here is going to step forward into the flames. Again, can't really charge at this point because he doesn't have the clear space for it, so he's just going to move forward and also be on fire now. And he takes 3 points of damage. And the other one is going to attempt to slam Ada again, despite it also being on fire. Alright, so it continues to burn a little bit and continues to not actually hit Ada's AC of 19, although it got surprisingly close.
They have a 30% chance of hitting her, and they've been unable to do so far.
Yep. Benefits of having a tank in the party, and it is Domisha's turn.
Okay, not even gonna bother moving, just gonna reload and shoot dwarf 4.
Okay.
That's the same thing I rolled before.
Well, maybe the random die roller is broken and is just giving us the same thing over and over.
This does happen sometimes. Until you start rolling repeatedly like that.
Okay. So hopefully Ada broke the streaks for everybody. Again, Domisha's arrow goes wide, despite the fact that the zombie's really making no effort to get out of the way. And it is Lisa's turn.
Will I take a penalty for moving past Domisha to try to get to dwarf 4?
I'll say not. And even if it was an extra like 5 foot of movement, you could still get there.
Will I hinder Domisha shooting past me? She has a precise shot.
Yeah, Domisha does not, so that will start to make some problems for her.
I'm not hitting anyway, so go for it.
Okay, so just gonna slide up, and the one that is, do I have a general idea of which one's been hurt more?
Well, number 5, the one up here, has been standing in the fire for longer, and also Ada has smacked it in the face. So.
Okay, Lisa's just going to.
Someone else shot, wasn't it?
I thought you shot 4. No, you shot 5.
Yeah, he did. He also shot 5, and it did a little bit of damage.
Yeah, so he's gonna just trust in Ada, and he's gonna stab at number 4.
Okay.
And that's a 9, so that's a miss. Apparently the dice roll is not fixed.
Yeah, apparently the dice gods have decided you are not hitting anything tonight, so. Let's see. This one is dead, so I'm going to take him out of initiative. And Alexander.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to shoot.
I would have I would have 5-foot stepped back if I could have.
Okay. Since you use your movement action to move, you're not allowed to take a 5-foot step. Yeah.
Keep forgetting that.
Okay, 20 actually does hit, thankfully.
Definitely. Which one was that targeted at? 5 or 4?
5.
Okay. And yeah, again, it seems like the bullet doesn't quite penetrate as well as you would expected, but you winged him, you took a little bit of chunk of something off, and he does appear to be a little bit worse for wear than he was before you shot him.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it. I'm able to keep myself out of range and still helping. So just reload again, and that's it.
We're holding him in the fire, so.
Yep. And Ada, your turn.
Alright, I'm gonna go after Dwarf 5 again.
Okay.
Everybody say...
Alright. So, yeah, Alexander's shot kind of puts him a little bit off balance, and then Ada takes a nice overhand swing directly into the dwarf's skull, and it collapses to the floor.
Flame.
Say again, I didn't quite catch that.
She said a flame.
Said a flame.
Yeah, it's still burning. It in fact smells pretty bad right now, but you know.
Nothing like roasted dwarf corpse.
Acrid stench of burning hair.
The last dwarf zombie that you all see is going to kind of turn its attention to Lise, since Lise is the one that stabbed at it last. It is going to continue being as ineffectual as its kin were, and it's going to continue being on fire.
Good on it.
Wonder how many people even know about that song anymore.
I forget what song you're talking about.
It's a song called "Oh My God, I'm on Fire."
That sounds so familiar, but I can't remember where it's from.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm familiar with that one. Alright, and Demisha's turn again.
Okay, none of my enchantment stuff is going to work on these guys since they're all undead, which is why I haven't been using any of it.
Yeah, most undead are immune to mind affecting.
Okay, well, there's really nothing that Demisha can do, apart from continue attempting to shoot the zombies. But two of her friends are in the way, so it's not really an option for her right now.
Shoot past it. If firing into a melee without precise shot, if you miss, there's a chance that you hit an ally. You can take a -4 penalty to your attack roll to guarantee that you won't hit an ally, but that also pretty significantly reduces your chance of hitting as well.
Yeah, Demisha is just gonna hang out like around here-ish.
Okay.
And wait for the others to finish.
Alright. So Demisha steps back, and yeah, Lise.
Lise is gonna take a stab and hope he's effective.
He's effective. Good job. Alrighty, so again, pretty solid, like, center of mass thrust. Punches in, seems to definitely take some effect. And this one is looking pretty worse for wear.
And he's just gonna hold position for now, trusting in Ada, because he doesn't want it walking out of the fire.
Yeah. Alright, Alexander.
Alright, another shot.
Alright. This one again, you kind of line up, you wait for a gap between Ada and Lise as they're fighting, and you lay a pistol round right center of its face, and it kind of staggers backward and collapses. The zombies that have risen up immediately appear to be completely destroyed at this point. And as the kind of flickering flames die away, and as you listen from possibly more sounds of more of them approaching towards you, the temple goes back to the same silent state it was at before. It seems like if any of the others have risen up, they either don't know that you're there, or they're making no effort to come towards you.
I don't like that, so I'm still gonna go check.
Well, Lise knows that, like, the ones that were injured were in the hallways, so the two that might still be livable are down in, like, that gully.
Okay.
So he would, like, back Ada up.
Okay. The two in this room over here, if they are still undead, they're doing a pretty convincing job of playing dead. So.
I'm gonna go beat them up.
Okay. After a brief stint of corpse desecration, Ada is very positive that these are not actually zombies.
Lise is just staring at her and like, and you're a paladin?
And more out of context D&D quotes. After a brief stint of corpse dentistry. From the paladin.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a normal corpse and a corpse that's going to rise up and eat us while we're sleeping. I just want to be sure, you know.
Lise just looks at her like, do you want to go stab the other ones while you're at it?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this a good action, but I wouldn't call it evil either. It's pragmatic more than anything. Like, I can understand a paladin not wanting to do it, but I don't think this is necessarily against your code as long as you don't take too much joy out of it, you know?
Lise is going along to just speed
No,
it up
I'm
so
not
she doesn't.
enjoying it. This is for safety.
Yeah.
Lise is going along to speed it up just so she's not having to spend the whole day doing this.
Yeah, it doesn't take long whether one of you is doing it or both, but you guys are able to make pretty positive that none of the corpses
I want to specify. I want to specify that I'm cutting off their heads.
Okay, yeah, that's basically just a coup de grace on each one. And I'm not going to make you roll for any of those. It just, you can very easily decapitate the corpses that are just laying there lifelessly.
Don't do it to the soldiers, though.
Okay.
Code of honor and all.
All right.
They
And-
weren't walking around.
And things are once again quiet.
Lise is gonna point back towards the water, and he's just like, well, we've opened the gateway, and I think we woke them up in the process.
Big deal. They're dead again.
So, yeah, Hannah, about just like when we need to wrap it up. We're getting very, very close to the end of what I have prepped, and two, I don't really intend to sit up until like 1 or 2 in the morning this morning necessarily. So, I think probably we're gonna be wrapping up very, very shortly.
Yeah, because I don't really have to get to bed anytime really soon. Most of the time we just have to wrap things up because, you know, Tyler works early mornings at his job, but he's not playing with us anymore.
Right. Yeah. All right. So, do you guys take a drink from the definitely not problematic eyeball fountain on the side of the temple full of zombies?
Okay, short answer, yes. Long answer, hell yes.
Also, as you are now walking, previously, like when Alexander, like you heard the kind of whispers come to a crescendo when you placed the eye in the statue, and then it stopped when you let go of it. Now, after like a little bit of time, you know, killing zombies, you all notice if you stand right next to the statue, you all start hearing that kind of like low, sibilant whisper in the back of your head. So yeah, you possibly take note of this. I don't know who maybe stands near the statue, but you gather around the small fountain in the back of the room. You take a little bit of the water, whether it's in your hand or in like a cup or whatever, and you just throw it back. It's a dark, looks like very dark, very black, almost seems more viscous than just pure water. But it doesn't smell unpleasant. It doesn't taste unpleasant when you drink it. In fact, it doesn't really taste like much of anything at all. There's a brief moment when you drink it and just everything seems completely normal, and it's like, well, that was anticlimactic. And then all of a sudden you are hit by this incredible drowsiness, and basically feel your vision begin to go dark and yourself start to collapse to the ground. You find yourselves a moment later, and this does include Lise, by the way. It's a bit of an odd sensation that, you know, because you've never actually slept before, but you find yourselves a moment later in a forestscape. It is dark. You can't tell the time of day. There's no moon. There's no stars in the sky. It is an empty, snowy field full of trees, old trees, similar-ish to the forest that you were traveling through to get here, the old growth forest and where the dwarves live. But if anything, even older and somewhat more sinister. You can hear your breath, but other than that, there is very little sound. You look around, you do see your other party members standing around with you, and as you kind of glance around, there again is a whisper in the back of your head, more like it's a thought in your mind that's not your own, rather than someone like whispering near you. They arrive, and that is where I think I'm gonna call the session for tonight.
Oh. Very good cliffhanger. I actually feel like we made a lot of progress in this session.
I didn't quite catch that last part there.
Progress, lots of it.
Okay. Yeah, I realized that there were a few steps that I could cut out, so I've streamlined a few things and like moved some stuff along. This should be approaching toward in game. You still have some work to do, but this should be the final. Like the rest of the campaign should take place in this
dimension.
In the place that you are. Yeah, in this dimension that you're currently located in.
Yeah. That's pleasantly surprising.
You could also say plane. That's not an uncommon term for these games.
Yeah, plane would be the best way to describe it in D&D terms.
Okay,
I do have an important question, but that can wait till after stream's over.
Okay, I was going to ask about experience.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's see. What are you guys at, and what's your next level?
Well, we automatically gained a level, but we were brought up to 1300 exactly at the end of last session, and we only gained 1300 so far. So, yeah.
So we're at 1600 right now because we gained 300 from that wolf fight.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just say 1000 XP each, and probably after next session I'll just level you guys up again.
So 2600?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, before I end the stream, and just because it's really convenient for me to do so, I have something that I want to show you, Kaze.
Okay.
Okay, it's going to be in the stream.
Let me open up Twitch.
This is the top half of the first page of the Penultimate Fiction character sheet.
I like it. It looks professional as hell.
Let me know when you're done looking at it.
That looks really nice, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, you done too, Isaac?
Yeah, like, I just need a quick glance. That's really nice looking.
Yeah, thanks. There's going to be 3 pages, and the 3rd page can be printed out multiple times depending on how many jobs you take.
Since we're...
What?
What is it?
Oh, it's the character sheet for the tabletop RPG that I've been working on for almost 7 years.
Sweet.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. Yep, so thanks to everybody who came to watch. Thanks again to Glitched Phantom for following. And we'll see you all tomorrow with more Spyro. So, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Night.